What's up, people? What's up? What's up? What's up? I'm just getting everything set up. If you are in YouTube, welcome. How you doing? Get everything all set up. What's up, people? What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome, welcome, welcome. What's up? What's up? This fucking I set up this YouTube like a second ago. I set up this YouTube like right before coming on. In a second here we're gonna be joining the call. Sosi, what's up? Gremloe, hey. What's up? Hey, hey, hey. I'm becoming. You made a YouTube account just for this. Let me jump in the Discord, see if people are doing stuff already. Okay, yeah. Looks like I can go in whenever I want, but I'm gonna give it a second. I gotta get my drink. K-Pars, what's up? Gabe, how you doing? What up? What up? You set up that YouTube literally a second ago too? Cool. Yeah, hopefully Sosi, you said that you were monitoring the Twitch offline chat, right? I put it on followers only for 10 minutes, so you just kind of have to monitor followers, I guess. But yeah, it should be fine. You're watching their Cozy stream and it's weird. Oh wait, I need to see this. I need to pull this up. Wait, I want to see. Do you have a link for it? Are there any mods on YouTube, or are we raw dogging it? We're raw dogging it. I probably won't be. I'll probably end up just keeping the VOD of this, and that's about it. Let's see if I can. I'm gonna see if I can record too, and I'll see if I lose any frames as well. Whoops, 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 whoops. Oh shit, I have to move my audio over. Okay. That should be better. They post a lot of ducks, you don't get it? It's on Politically Provoked, right? Yeah. I get the point. Fine. Are they listening to fucking... They're listening to fucking Eminem, dude. They're listening to fucking Eminem. Jesus Christ. The cognitive fucking dissonance, dude. They're listening to they're listening to fucking Eminem. Oh my god. Oh, jeez, that's so funny to me. Let me make sure I have, Mythic is still not live. Okay. We'll see what happens. Let me get Chatterino opened up for Mythic. Yeah, no, it's so weird. Okay. Do you guys hear everything fine? Probably. It's like the same exact thing for Twitch and YouTube, so. Let me put my phone on silent. You have both chats up? I could maybe mod for both. I don't even here. Let me see if I even know. I haven't even fucking used YouTube. Let me see if I can just like click on you. Let me see if I can click on Soci and make mod, maybe? Add moderator. Soci is a moderator. Cool. Read and rap, what's up? Let's see. Real quick, anyone else want to be a mod? On YouTube? I need mods on Twitch. I think I have mods on Twitch already on Twitch offline chat, but I should probably have mods on YouTube too, just to be not put so much fucking weight on Soci. Pawa. Me? Okay, cool. Okay, yeah. I'll just mod you guys up. I'll just mod you guys up. You want the power? Okay, you got the power. Hop in the waiting room? Okay. I mute and deafen myself. We'll see what happens. I'm like, I'm doing all of this, like, this technical shit, like, last second. YouTube chat emote? Yeah, right. Just regular fucking emojis. It's good to see so many people in YouTube. You know? Because, I literally I stole this account from a friend. Just so I could stream on it. Because I couldn't figure out Discord, how to, like, talk in Discord as well. Okay, so that should be working fine. Huh, I don't know if Mythic is actually going to be streaming. I don't see him live. I get a message. Okay, they said they're pulling us in about 5 minutes. They said that about 4 minutes ago. Oh, where the fuck did they go? You don't have your own YouTube channel? I do now. This is my YouTube channel now. I just have to rebrand it. I'm a person of color, so modding me is literal racism. You have a really good point there. You have a really good point there. You have pulled me into giving you absolute power over the chat. This is the new face of oppression. Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Why did they do the moon like that? To be fucking creepy, dude. It's just straight up creepy. Do we need battle music? Can I turn on the battle music? How do you feel? I'm a little bit nervous. This is my first debate, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I've seen so many people fucking like soy out and like be super cringe and say a lot of really stupid shit. And we're going into a community of people that like are known for saying the stupidest shit. So like the bar is so fucking low. The bar is so fucking low. So I don't feel too worried about it, to be honest. But yeah, I guess I'm a little bit nervous. I'm usually a little bit nervous before every stream. Pretty much every stream I get a little bit nervous, which is fine. Debate version no longer. Yeah. Yeah, I just want to be able to get some fun clips out of it. Alright, looks like they're pulling us in. I'm gonna pause music, actually. Feel like it'll be easier that way. And then let me... window capture. Let's go here. Maybe I should do... Here we go. Easy, baby. pause, champ. All right. Am I supposed to be hearing them right now? Because I don't. Probably not. They're probably doing intro stuff. I should probably be listening to that.
Festival that's in the works, so something like we did on our inaugural stream, we're going to be doing something like that again, I believe, on April 30th, Saturday. So far we have 3 debates planned, and working on a couple other things, and then our pop-on panel, so that'll be fun. But we need to see what's going on with these guys. Like,
lots of big surprises in the works. Big news from Politically Provoked, as always, you know.
No, yes. I can't believe they're all still deafened. And then Mythic is going to be here in 3 minutes, so we can kind of just check.
Mythic late as always. Mythic late as always, huh? Oh, wait, I have
Gonna wait for him and for these guys to undeafen. All right, looks like we got one that's undeafened.
Gotcha.
So we'll just wait on that, and then we will get this started. But Mythic, he's the one who like created this entire topic, right?
Is that right?
Well, isn't it?
Oh, this is his fault.
Oh, I don't know. I thought he or that you invited him on, and then y'all kind of went from there.
No, I thought. Okay, so all right, so Kid Knockin', why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Sure. Hey, I'm Kid Knockin'. I cover politics, philosophy, current events, blah 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 blah, from an anarchist ethical lens. What's up? Are we giving intros on the topic or just saying what's up?
No, we're just saying what's up for right now because we're waiting for Mythic. So why don't you tell people where they can find you also?
Yeah, you can find me at twitch.com or twitch.tv/KidKnockin', and anything at Kid Knockin'.
On that twitch.tv/com.
Yeah.
And then so far I guess it's like all of your guys' first. Well, no, Carson was here once, and so he's still deafened though.
You said you're what, ethical anarchist? Where do your ethics come from?
I use anarchism as an ethical lens. My ethics largely come from philosophers like Spinoza and Nietzsche.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, you're a really interesting guy. You're not
Thank
like
you.
the other guys.
I'm not like the other guys.
Not like the other guy. Yeah. Okay, so let's see what he's going on. He's just still deafened and just going at it on his stream, I guess.
Mythic's sleeping right now.
No, he's not. I talked to him. I got a word. He's alive. He will be here.
Okay.
He would be in big trouble if he wasn't. He did this twice to Alexa, though. He kept trying to get us to push the time back, but I'm not planning on streaming when Nick streams. So, like, we got
those DGen hours, when you're streaming from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m.
He usually wakes up at 6 in the afternoon.
Hold on, you guys. Let Carson introduce himself now that he's undeafened and unmuted.
Yo, what's up, guys? I'm Carson. What's up, Kid Knockin'?
What's up?
Gremloe. I'm Carson. I'm a streamer on Cozy, so I'm over with Brittany. We do a lot of good stuff over there. You guys should check us out, cozy.tv/Carson. I'm a right-wing extremist, you could say. I do all that sort of good stuff. I'm guessing you guys are more on the left. You guys look like it.
Oh, yeah. Is it the pink background or the...
Yes, it's the LGBT lights.
It's the pink and the gay stuff.
The lack of shaving and everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, white guy, facial hair, that'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah, the lack of masculinity, so then you try and cover it with a beard.
Right. No, it's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, respect. That's why I don't have a beard. I'm just so masculine. I'm like oozing with
You'll grow one
testosterone.
eventually, maybe.
So I don't even bother with it. I don't have to mask anything.
You don't have to shave nothing.
Did you guys see that?
I have to shave everything.
Did you guys see that ad for that Tucker Carlson new special, the end of men? trailer?
No.
No.
See that?
Oh, Mio, you saw it?
Yeah, good stuff.
What'd you think of it? It seems like super like homoerotic.
I think that some people tend to make everything as weird as they can.
Like for marketing or?
No, I mean, I think people just some people interpret things like,
Oh.
there's a lot of things people will like read into history, like a story of brotherly love or whatever between two guys and be like, oh, they were definitely gay or whatever. It's always like they're secretly gay or it's like secretly homoerotic or something like that. I think a lot of people read that stuff into a lot of like stuff that guys are like just super into masculinity or whatever. Like gym culture
You don't hear it?
bros are like, oh man, your biceps look great today, bro. And they don't mean like they're being gay. It's just it's a different thing. Although I will say there is a lot of that weirdness in some of that culture. So I'll give you that.
I think gym culture is super super positive because what a lot of people like misinterpret when they like first start going to the gym is that people who are like super like yoked out is if you're not doing things properly or if you're not like super yoked out as well, that people are going to be hostile to you. But after a while,
the gym is the gayest place you'll ever see, and that's why that's why it's predominantly conservative there. They sublimate their fucking fragile masculinity by working on trying to get vascular because they want their forearms to look like their dicks.
You got to get it from somewhere.
Yeah. That's true, but I was gonna say like people are usually just pretty supportive.
Supportive is
supporting
supportive. This is exactly what I was talking about. This guy's talking about how wholesome and supportive gym culture is. And now we've got like, oh no, they want their forearms to be like dicks.
Oh,
I mean that certainly exists.
You could totally go there and feel alienated and anxious for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sorry that you would go through that, but I think it is kind of supportive.
Notice the allegation about dick arms went unanswered.
Mythic, why don't you introduce yourself since you were so kind to actually arrive to an earlier panel?
That's right. I show up when it fucking counts. Yes. Brittany. In my continued effort to fix you and to flip you over to be a fucking commoid like me, I've deigned to appear today on Politically Provoked on CozyTV to tell these fucking rightoids why it's not fucking super base that we have involuntary slave labor currently in the prison system. My name is MythicPolitics. I'm a fucking commoid. I'm a communist. I'm writing a book on political conspiracies, many of whom probably are believed by a lot of the people watching this right now. Have upcoming video podcast, video series on YouTube, and I'm fucking one of them based fucking uncivil lefties that you can barely tolerate. So I'm looking forward to talking with everybody here.
Very cool. Nice to meet you.
I've got a quick esoteric tip for you. This is real deep right-wing knowledge. Okay.
All right.
If you want them to listen to what you say, rightoids isn't the greatest.
Okay, yeah. Okay. I meant Nazi scum. Excuse me. Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
So, everybody here is streaming on Twitch, right?
Yes, please.
I did. Yeah, Mia's good. I already told Carson the 3 no words that they usually end up slipping. So for chats, just don't expect them to be called the F slur or anything like fancy today. They are streaming on Twitch, and we do want to respect their TOS. So we make sure to do that because we want people like this to come back. And if they don't get their TOS respected, then people will not want to join us for these panels. So, yeah.
Yeah, and we're on lockdown right now.
Yeah. Believe me, it's not me. I like all the spicy words in moderation, but yeah, Twitch is a bunch of bitches, so I don't want to get clapped.
True.
Yeah.
Well, MythicPolitics, here you are, man. You have access to the right-wing audience, which has been kept from you and your people for so long.
So true.
Oligarchs, that run our society. So now here you are. You have your topic that you wanted tonight, right? Why don't you present the topic as it stands and what your take on it all is?
All right, so the panel basically tonight is, I was wondering, we were going through prospective panel options. A lot of people were scared of this one. They didn't want to handle it. Politically provoked Brittany said, you know what, fuck it, I'll do it. I'll be the one. She's provocative. She's attractive. She's doing the whole thing. She's like, maybe I'm the one person to give this topic the audience it needs. And so tonight we're talking about prison labor, 13th Amendment, eradicating slavery, putting exemptions in for people who've been convicted and allowing them to get be in involuntary servitude, unpaid in an unpaid fashion. It's been capitalized by the U.S. government. It's bad for workers. It's bad for unions. It's bad for everything. It's a stopgap measure. They even marketed it as a stopgap measure to stop outsourcing, which basically puts Americans. Basically, in effect, makes them marketed to as though they were child workers in Indonesia or whatever. And basically, I think that it is not good and that we should stop it immediately. It's uncivil, unethical. It's not even in line with the values of anybody, even rightoids, leftoids, fucking normie centrist liberals. It's not in line with anybody's values or virtues, and it only exists because it's fucking secreted away in a little shadowy, underreported area. So we're going to expose this shit tonight and find out what these conservatoids think about it.
Okay. So my next question would be, if you had to create the strongest form of the argument for prison slave labor, what would you assume that to be? Like, out of all the people that you've heard, have these arguments, discuss it, whatever, you seem like you've looked up, researched the topic a lot. What is the strongest form of the argument that you've heard or could form yourself?
I don't agree with it, but people basically argue that there was a debt owed to society for crimes, and they take that quite literally to mean a financial debt that needs to be worked off by people. And I think that's perverse. It shows a very shallow understanding of what rehabilitation and what like punitive remuneration is meant to even be in the U.S. penal system. And I think that if they saw the actualities of these positions, they would recognize in horror how unvirtuous they had been for promoting them. But I, to be honest, I've not found a good argument against these. It's just seldom talked about, really.
Hey, I have a question for you, man.
Let's hear it.
So would you be in favor of putting pedophiles to hard labor?
Why would pedophiles in particular be like good at hard labor? Aren't they like
Because
a few fucking weirdo dorks?
It's about also, you got to realize that like the reason that this kind of system where we put people to work comes like that we have it in the first place is because in like the old days when things were better, you had whenever you would do something that was against the law, you would have to pay your debt to society that by engaging in servitude to the community that you've harmed. So if like a pedophile was to do that, you would eventually like give your servitude to the state because you broke the law and engaged in this sort of stuff. So would you be in favor of
what do you want pedophiles to be doing? You want them to go clean up high schools? Is that what you want? Like, what is it? Why is it that you want pedophiles reintegrated? Why do you want pedophiles where the people are? I don't understand.
Yeah, I want them in the coal mines, man. I want them learning what it's like to have to work.
He brings a fair question, which is maybe is it possible that you would accept like a sort of a tiered system based on the crime, where for some crimes something like that is in order, but for some crimes, like if you get caught smoking weed or whatever, you're not like sent to the gulag, the coal mines or whatever, but like pedophiles or rapists or whatever, maybe that.
Yeah, it depends on what we mean by pedophiles. If pedophiles mean somebody who's acted on their impulses and like fucking sexually assaulted someone, yeah, I think that they should go to fucking prison. I think any violent crime should go to prison. But the problem
they're all
is,
in prison. But should the prisons involve labor is the question, right? So for those crimes specifically, like even if it was just those, would you
I don't understand. I don't understand the delineation between pedophilia arbitrarily. Are you just saying that because like you're literally bringing up pedophilia because it's like a third rail topic and he has this opinion about pedophiles or whatever?
The question is simply like for a tiered system, right? Like, would some crimes be considered bad enough that like there's some people are like we should kill all pedophiles and rapists, we should castrate them, like that stuff like that. So is putting them to work to the benefit of the people, is that something that you'd be okay with for any crime at all whatsoever?
I don't necessarily disagree with, especially like, okay, so I thought we were going to go around and talk a little bit more about like the program specifically and get everyone's general takes on it. Where does everyone, before we go into that and our prescriptions about what we think should do, can we get everyone's general opinion about prison labor in the US so I can kind of feel everybody out? But yeah, I mean, I definitely have some prescriptions who I think it should and shouldn't be available to, but I want to fight more right now.
Okay, all right. Kid Knockin, what's your deal? What do you think about?
Yeah, I mean, so there's two avenues here. There's one that prison labor is something that was made as economically, we're economically dependent on prison labor, and this has been a process from eradicating slavery and then moving forward into this economic dependency. But also, the idea of being indebted to society is not something that is limited to being in prison. The entire society that we live in is based on this idea, right? So like, if we're going to be prescribing like what it is, like should there be prison labor, I think the easier way to move forward is going to be on like how much should these people be paid, how many workers' rights should they have, should they be allowed to unionize, stuff like this, to be able to have considerable human rights in comparison to the rest of society, because we're all forced to work. This isn't something that's like specific to prisons, so we might as well start there.
Okay, so your take is no matter what, they're getting put to work. The question is, should we pay them or not? Basically.
No, not should we. We already pay them. Are you saying, are you implying that maybe we shouldn't pay them?
Slavery, right? He's talking about slavery, so I'm assuming that's like unpaid labor, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can get paid and have it still be. You can get paid like what is your number? Like, at how little do you have to be paid for it to be considered slavery? Like 5 cents an hour? Like 10? $1? Like
fair question as any, I guess. I guess you got to start with that, huh?
Yeah, so we can get into that later if you would like to,
okay.
But this is sort of where I'm coming from it, and we can move on to other people so everyone knows where everyone's at first.
Fair. All right, Gremloe, what's your deal?
Yeah, so I think that the current way that we do things is not good. I don't think it yields positive outcomes. Just as one example, a lot of prisons produce equipment for the military, and there have been multiple instances where it's kind of like where if you want like quality equipment, then you don't hire out like Indonesian sweatshop labor. You hire like union-made, American manufactured equipment. And we see this in American prisons where like military equipment was, made through prison labor, and it was turned out to not be good and faulty. And, that's dangerous, especially if you're, one who respects the military and wants people to, be protected. So I don't think that it yields positive outcomes. Also, a lot of industries that people aren't aware of rely on prison labor. So like Victoria's Secret, Walmart, Starbucks, Raytheon, Dairy Farmers of America. It's all over. It's not just like, license plates or, garments. It's a lot of shit. And like Kid Knockin said, they're going to be working no matter what. It's just a question of, well, how much are we going to pay them? I would argue at least minimum wage. And, what kind of worker protections should these people have? And I would argue a lot. So, yeah, I mean, I just kind of come from it from, well, they're doing labor and I like workers, so why are we singling these people out? And, in many cases, not giving them any of their wages.
Okay, that's fair. Carson, you have any initial thoughts on the topic on prison labor, slave labor?
Yeah, like you're saying, like, why do we choose them? Like we're enslaving these people who like break the law and like destroy the faith in our public institutions, acting like like we're the bad guys because we're just forcing these dudes who broke our laws and destroy the faith that we have in our justice system and stuff like that. So like we're not singling anybody out. You don't need to liberate these people who have just shit on our society by shitting on our rules, by destroying the communities that they live in, by doing this sort of stuff. So I wouldn't say, you need to liberate anybody like that. All these people have done is enslave their communities, enslave others to the pain that they cause through their actions and did. So I wouldn't say we need to liberate anybody. And then the mullet guy was talking about like re-education as an alternative for this sort of thing. What do you mean by that?
Oh, are you done with your fucking statement now? Hey, Mio,
I am, man. Thanks
did you want to comment on that?
What's that?
I'm talking to Mio. Mio, did you want to give a statement generally?
Mio. Mio, are you muted?
Brittany, are you part of this, or are you just
yeah.
hosting? It's a little disproportionate if it's just the two
Mio,
of them.
did we hear your statement?
No, we're all good. We're happy, man.
Okay,
We're
okay.
gonna be
Heck is supposed to come, but he's doing something right now, and he'll probably be a little bit late. But
I'm good, Matt Groiper.
We are gonna be just fine.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
Mio and Carson will be fine.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, essentially, I tend to agree with all of you in some ways, right? I mean, I don't think that like people who are like, you know, get caught partying underage or something like that, like should be sent, you know, like, you know, put in basically slave labor or whatever. But again, I also don't think we should create an almost like incentivized system where somebody like wants to go commit a crime because they'll have a guaranteed minimum wage job for 5 years, you know, 3 hot meals a day and all of that. Like, you don't want to make it a good thing that they're happy about to be there. It's a punishment, right? You've got 3 reasons for imprisoning people. That is, you know, a deterrent for other people so that they see the punishment. They don't want to do that. You've got rehabilitation, which largely doesn't work. You see the recidivism rates in America especially, but even other countries that really focus on this stuff, it's really hard to get like down. And then you see the third reason is punishment. It's punishment for crimes. It's like like you said before, you owe a debt to society. Just what kind of debt is that exactly then? If it's not a financial debt, which is something that can materially be paid back to society, is it a spiritual debt? Like, what exactly do you mean by that? Because I do think there is a debt to be paid. And again, it shouldn't be incentivized like, you know, here's a guaranteed minimum wage job, all of that. And I think Carson made a good point as well.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
Could I just ask a quick question? So this idea that we're creating an incentive structure to where people will kind of like go out and like rob a liquor store so that they can get a minimum wage job and like 3 hots on a cot at your local like state penitentiary. Where is this coming from? Where's this idea coming from? Because I don't see anything that suggests that that's the case, even in countries that, you know, like we left these soy out over, where like Finland, Norway, whatever the fuck, has like good prison systems, arguably better at least. So like, where is this coming from?
I would assume it has something to do with like, you know, like in the United States, we see a lot of houseless people that are living in like, you know, terrible, like violent conditions, you know, and a lot of these people will go out and break the law just so that they have a place to sleep. And so like the problem being that like if that would be a problem of people going to prison just to have a job, doesn't that say more about the society outside of the prison than it would inside of the prison? And then also
it's just less about the prison itself.
Yeah, and then
also, people at the same time want to argue about that the material conditions do not incentivize the type of behavior, and then do a self-report by saying, oh yeah, but they'll willfully get arrested to get a fucking 3 squares and a minimum wage job, indicating that the job market is so fraught with fucking inequity that they'll do whatever the fuck they can just to fucking work.
Yeah, so
it's sort of a fucking self-report.
The question is, like, what are the environmental impacts that would bring people into prisons in the first place anyways? Like, it seems like that is going to be like the question that
I
you
agree with that,
right
honestly.
now.
And I do think that like it's not a thing that like, you know, like the bare minimum of like survival shouldn't be something that incentivizes people into prison in the richest, wealthiest country in the history of the world, right? I agree with that.
Yeah, kind of funny.
But at the same time, it's like those issues almost have to be solved first before this issue, or else just it does incentivize it, given the nature of how things are currently in our country, right? Like, you have to make things better outside before you make things better in prison, or else you're incentivizing all those people who are disenfranchised that you talked about.
Well, what about the recidivism rate?
to-
What about the recidivism rate? Like, so like if you have people, and it has been shown in a couple studies, these studies aren't very well looked into at all, but there is something to be said about how wage labor inside of prisons on some level can help lower the recidivism rate. So like if you are paying people a wage that they can manage, and then when they get out of prison, they have the funds to then start a new life and then already have the tools that they need to join the actual workforce. If you have this already, then the recidivism rate is going to be decreased, right? Do you agree with that?
I think that like having some sort of economic standing like could help prisoners that are fresh out of prisons,
So
but I don't know if that overwhelms like or outweighs all of the other factors and reasons for the high
in comparison to just wanting to join prison so that you have a job. In comparison to
above
that,
and beyond the recidivism, we have to look at how these fucking prisons are fueling the fucking inequity. People go to get fucking thrown in. They're slapped up. They're told about rehabilitation. Let's be real. No one's rehabilitating anyone.
No.
The programs the federal government set up have turned into cash cows. These programs, which were initially about job training, have turned into a way to make 300 million, that they reported in 2018. The rehabilitation is out the window. This is purely punitive, and it's like above and beyond. During the 80s and the crime bill and everything, we've been criminalizing and throwing people in jail for much more minor transgressions. And then what happens? They go to conflict school or they go to gladiator school. They fucking learn these. They get associates who fucking teach them how to do more esoteric types of crimes, more scams, heists, whatever. They get out in order for their family, if they are indeed underfunded or underprivileged or whatever, if they're on like Section 8 or whatever, their family can't even let them return home lest they get kicked off the Section 8 or whatever government subsidizing that they're on. There's all these perverse things. And then above and beyond that, you have to look at the what incarceration is doing in these underserved communities. It's not just the recidivism. It's the way the criminal justice system works that's impacting the fucking poor. It's not just a purely fix one and fix the other. You need to fix them both in tandem.
Right.
And one of the ways that they can fix this is while we're fucking arbitrarily, it seems, locking people up so as to decrease the total amount of 16 to 26-year-old males who are doing violent crimes in the United States. Fair enough. If the solution that we have for that is fucking throw them in prison while they're in fucking prison, why don't you teach them a trade and not just fucking use it as a mechanism for fucking corporations like the ones running the private prison industry to fucking line their pockets.
Well, a trade that they can actually use too, because like firefighting and stuff like that, like when people do this type of labor and they get out and they want to remain doing this type of labor that they've been paid absolutely like shit money for. But they learn the tools, they learn the trade, and then they try and go out and like maybe they want to be a firefighter. But these people do not hire felons. It was a dead end from the get go.
And I would add on that 500,000 people are currently sitting in jail that haven't been charged.
Right.
They aren't subject to labor though. We're primarily talking about people in prison who, as a term of their condition, to get early release, to be able to go to the commissary, to be able to participate some way, in order to have money to call back home, in order to buy their own food, to subsidize the scant calorie meals that they're provided for free by the state. They have to work, or else they're literally be sent to the hole. They'll lose their good time. They're incentivized in 1,000 ways. So it's not strictly compulsory, but in effect it is. So I would say it's largely prison labor that we're talking about.
Where did you come up with this? Because I know this was your topic, Mythic, right? Where did this topic stem from? Like, where do you think?
No, we were talking about a video, and someone in my chat said like crime doesn't pay, motherfucker, and it kicked off a whole a whole diatribe. It kicked off a whole fucking rant for me, and then Queen Alexa popped on and was talking about possible panel conversations. And this was one of the ones that we were spitballing. But yeah, I've been in and out of the criminal justice system, and I can tell you one thing that they're not concerned about is fucking rehabilitating anybody. That's one thing that they're really not trying to do.
Yeah, well, like, what do you mean when you say rehabilitation? Like, every leftist always brings this shit up. They're always like rehabilitation. Are you talking about like
lower recidivism
or something?
Yeah, I think they mean lower recidivism rate, like stopping them from going back to prison. Like they would consider someone rehabilitated if they can successfully re-enter society and become like a productive civilian.
So
even if they're like scarred for life or emotionally damaged or whatever.
That seems to be your point, not ours.
Without committing
that seems to be what you're leaning into, not us.
Yeah. So
true.
You'll hear people that come from our position say like, well, what is the thing that leads to criminality? Well, it's poverty, it's socioeconomic conditions. Well, if we give a person a trade, if we give them the opportunity to like build a degree and like learn how to do a proper job, and if it's needed, give them therapy, whatever it's needed, if they need to be on medication, if that's, what's needed to be done, do that. It's about creating an opportunity for someone who, once they have paid their debt back to society by committing a certain amount of time within a prison, that whenever they get out, they're not going to go back in.
And there's a stark there. We talk about prison under two things. Mio had actually outlaid this. It's like, what are we really doing? And I would say there's two options. There's rehabilitation and punitive. There is, for a large part of the population, punitive is a very real deterrent. I want to fucking punch everybody in the fucking face. I see life as one big face that I want to fucking punch. So I understand, and I would do so not to appeal to my fucking better angels, because I'll get in fucking trouble for doing it, because motherfuckers are bitches and they fucking whine and snitch and fucking whatever.
True.
Yeah,
So
dude,
I don't do
also,
it because
like,
there's a punitive fucking factor to it. True. But in a very real sense, the reason I feel like this is because I was underserved. I was kicked out of a bunch of schools growing up, and I was not taught the things and socialized in a manner which comports itself to living in a society in a conducive manner, or in a productive manner. So teaching people while they're locked up those skills so they don't arbitrarily fucking go right the fuck back in by doing the same indiscretions over and over again, I think would behoove everybody.
So
Yeah,
I
dude,
largely
you act like the justice system like exists for the people who break the law. It doesn't exist to, you know,
literally what it
reintegrate
exists
them
for.
back
Yeah,
in
what
society.
else?
What justice
literally.
is for, it's for the people that this kind of stuff this stuff affects. You know, when you break the law, you affect the people in your community, and so it's not to benefit the people who break the law and choose to do that. If you can't get reintegrated back in
Benefiting
society,
them
then you'll go
benefits
back to jail.
society.
Part of it is taking these people away from civilized society. because they
Benefiting them
can't-
benefits
they can't obey what's
society and
going on.
benefits everyone else, and it benefits their families too, and the economy. There's so much of workers and family members and men, breadwinners or what have you, that have been taken out of their family and put into prisons, and now these families have no way to introduce themselves into society, which also causes more and more problems. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's terrible for the economy, it's terrible for society. Like, whether or not you give a shit about these people in prison, and I do, but like, even if you don't give a shit, it's best for society and these families and these people if you actually rehabilitate the people that you locked away. They're not locked away forever. They return for the most part. Like, if you're worried about removing them so as to be the benefit of society, what you're doing is removing them from doing a minor transgression and training them to do a major one by fucking incarcerating them and making them normalizing them to an institutional life amongst a bunch of fucking hardcore people with face tats who are gonna fucking shank them for fucking sitting on the wrong bunk or putting on the wrong house slippers or whatever. So in order to fucking
whatever, right?
So what about those dudes? What about the dudes with the face tats and like who are gonna shank everybody? What about those guys? Should they
you teach them how to be a fucking prestige chef, and they get a job on Vice doing a cooking show. That's
how do
it.
you
And
do
then
that?
It's a good gig.
fucking vocation trade school training.
We're sending these kids
initial
off to
mechanism,
school.
the
That's-
initial.
that's justice. Is sending these kids to a school where you know.
What do you
Okay,
want
so
them to
here's-
do?
well-
They have to do something when they get out. You're saying
Yeah,
remove
exactly.
them
They
from
should-
society.
they should-
Are you
they should
saying
be
and
put to
burying them in
work.
the fucking ground? They're gonna have to come back someday.
Wait,
and
that's
what
the
do
point.
you
That's the
want
point
them
of
to
what we're
do when
talking
they
about.
come back?
That's the
What do you
purpose of
want them
this
to do when
labor.
they come back?
do you just
What's
want
that?
everyone in prison to just be locked away forever? Like, should we just like make sure everyone that goes to prison just is there for life? Like, what is your plan there?
Oh God, no, man. I'm from. My dad went to prison when I was a kid. I'm
Based.
from.
Oh, I feel for you.
Yeah, you say base. You say base. It's base.
Yeah.
And my dad went to prison.
True.
Yeah,
Go
you
ahead.
know, growing up without a dad, super epic. You grew up without a dad, probably, right? Like you with the mullet, you look like it. You look. You
Yeah.
know,
I grew up without several dads.
incredible. You got like
Sounds
two dads
about
or
right,
something.
honestly.
Or, like, one's,
Harrowing
like, a
story.
gender
Harrowing
fluid or
story.
something.
You were telling an anecdote. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on it. Go ahead.
What's up?
You were telling an anecdote. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on it. Go ahead.
What was I saying?
Oh,
I don't know. Something about
You were talking
growing
about
up.
how your dad went to
ADHD's zoomer brain.
Like
you
daddy
know?
yeah, you're
problem
talking about
stuff.
how your dad has been to prison. He was asking about if we should lock them away and just like throw away the key type of thing. I think. Is that
Oh
what you
no,
were
no, we shouldn't do that. But like, obviously, also, going to prison teaches somebody a lesson. It teaches them that they can't live this lifestyle. Whether that's like people will say rehabilitation for drugs. Prison in itself is rehabilitation for drugs. Like, genuinely, it takes these people away from the substances that they've been addicted to for a long time.
Oh,
gets
you're
them
talking
off
about
this
locking
sort
up
of
addicts,
lifestyle.
not like drug dealers. You're saying that we
What was
should
that?
also be like locking up addicts in prison?
What's that?
That's what he's saying.
Yeah,
He's saying that the U.S. we should pay like $10K a year to lock up people instead of giving them 10 times less for treatment substance abuse.
Yeah.
Is effectively it's the conservative answer. It's okay
Well,
paying. It's okay paying 100 times more as long as I don't have to see them.
Get off this substance just because you're breaking the law. Like these laws exist for a reason. You're affecting your community. You're affecting your family.
Do you want to talk about the reason those laws exist?
Yeah, let's talk about the reason.
Do you want to talk about the reason those laws exist?
Hold on. If I may, let me try to bring this bring the two sides back together for a moment. I think that the one thing that you're right about, Mythic, that you talked about was about how there are sort of like arbitrary laws put in place. People are getting arrested for more and more like minor little things, stuff like that. And here's a red pill I took a few years back. A big part of why that happens is because there's a very real like prison workers union in the U.S., which basically it's job security for them if there are more prisoners in the U.S. And so they try and push like bills and stuff that try and make those types of crimes. It's a very real thing. And it also should be said that, you know, something like, you know, people on the right like to talk about is like, you know, we talk about abortion and how babies can't advocate for themselves because someone someone has to advocate for them.
It's an antinatalism.
There's only people on the other side. But it's the same thing with prisoners, kind of like there's a, you know, prison workers union trying to make that happen, but there is no real like, you know, representation for prisoners. And so if they're not looked out for, if somebody doesn't like, you know, keep an eye on it or whatever, things could get like way worse than we want them to for people who committed like, you know, relatively minor crimes. We don't want that. You know, that's obviously not good. That said, and I agree that, like, you know, people aren't being locked up forever. They should be put into, like, you know, they should be able to re-enter society, especially people that commit relatively minor crimes. However, there are certain crimes, there's certain types of people which the recidivism rate is just too high. There really isn't, you look at the stats, you look at the data, there isn't like anything to do about it except sort of lock them up until they age out of their like violent aggressive phase or whatever.
Well, again, the recidivism rate is because of the conditions.
There are lifers in prison who are not going to re-enter society. You've got child rapists and stuff like that. And I just don't know if, like, you know, having them, focusing on them, giving them a minimum wage job and healthcare benefits and unionization and all of that, before we focus on people on the outside, like veterans
there's no reason. There's no actual reason why. I mean, this is a minor point. For people that are locked up in prison forever, they're not going to be re-entering society. And we want to reduce the recidivism rate, and they don't really count for that. But like, with that being the case, like, even so, your argument might as well just lead to you might as well just fucking kill them, right? Like, you might as well
just essentially arguing for is just torturing them until they die.
Yeah, because this is like torture.
Working.
The thing is, and like, I know you guys don't give a shit about ethics. I know that's pretty clear. But if you do, on the off chance that you do, I think it's pretty well worth the note that everyone is better than the worst thing that they've ever done, and you might as well give them some sort of dignity in the last moments of their life, to, you know, be able to not be tortured for the rest of eternity as far as they go. But by all means, if you think that that's like based or whatever, you can just call it based and leave it there.
Work to repay his debt to society isn't exactly like torturing him for all of eternity cruelly and unjustly. Like, that's sort of, you know, like, you just
work to repay. What do you mean? Like, how are they repaying?
I thought you guys were against big federal governments.
What is the price?
What about lining the coffers of the fucking U.S. The State Department leads to repaying a debt to society? I don't understand. I don't understand the leap there.
What'd you say, man?
Do you think that there's a physical or spiritual fucking? Are you breaking up rocks somehow, and then taking the money that they get for breaking up rocks somehow pays back?
Yeah, there actually is, man.
Yeah, what's the number? What's the number?
We're like, yeah, you know what? It builds character.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, like, you're acting like you know, we're just like meat puppets in like the middle of like space or whatever. But like, we actually have souls. And God actually really
God
you
hit it.
Emphasis on jobs and the importance of having a duty to society. You know, what is it? I think it's Ephesians. Like,
oh my God.
It says, you know, like, let the thief no longer steal. Let him let him labor. Doing honest work is
This
important.
is the type of bullshit
This
that
is
keeps
so
people in
fucking
prison, which is why they keep on going back.
No, my God.
This is the bullshit that they teach people in jail.
Man, shut up. I was speaking.
No.
Remember, it's 2 and 3, so let him finish.
Yeah.
Okay, so the only form of rehabilitation I'd be open to is something that is regarding Christian conversion. If we're doing like conversion. So that's the only form of rehabilitation I'm willing to give you grounds on. Other than that, screw rehabilitation.
That's not
Nobody
true.
Gets
not true.
Like rehabilitated in rehab.
I don't even think you believe that.
Effects of rehab.
I don't even think you believe that. I don't even think you believe that. No, I don't think that you believe that.
Ironically, that's the only type of rehabilitation. That's the type of rehabilitation they were talking about. It was spiritual. When you look at the puritanical history of the U.S. justice system, the criminal and the penal system, the rehabilitation they were talking about was spiritual. It's effectively true, and we've barely updated the vernacular on that, the verbiage.
Here's the thing, and I'll be a little bit more like good faith and assume that like you have like something more to say, deep down. But like this idea that you guys have kind of been talking about of like this is not for the benefit of the people that are in prison, but for the benefit of society. You believe that, right? This isn't just Christian value nonsense, right?
What? Well, no, the Christian values
do you believe that?
All of our world.
Sure. Whatever the fuck you want to say about it, but like, do you believe
us
that?
Having mercy on them, because you mentioned like them being tortured for eternity. They will be tortured for eternity.
Sure, whatever. No, I'm asking you if you think that the focus should be on the betterment of society, whether or not you want to fucking go into gospel or whatever and cringe up the fucking
well,
jet.
yeah,
like, that's fine. You can do that.
That's the argument he made earlier, is that the justice system is not built to benefit the prisoners. It's built to benefit the free society.
That's what I'm saying.
Haven't committed crime.
That's what I'm saying.
That is what it's built around and what it's built for. It's for the betterment of society.
Yeah, exactly.
Of our communities, of our neighborhoods, not the prisoners who are like child rapists.
Okay. This is my point. This is exactly my point, and this is why I wanted to be a little bit more good faith about your point, which was this idea that like you only really care about like the conversion back into Christianity so that they can enter society or blah 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 whatever.
Well, no,
the fuck that
also
means.
because they are isolated from the things, because we do need to keep in mind like society as a whole as well, because those people didn't do anything wrong. It's important to prioritize their safety and them being okay above all else. But also, while these people are serving their time, it's important that they come to Christ that caused them to do this sort of immoral act.
Okay, but why? I mean? But why? Like, there's a material reason why.
Their souls will burn in hell forever.
You don't care about their fucking souls, dude. You don't give a shit about their souls. You don't have any ethics. What I'm asking you. No. What I'm asking you.
No, you're speaking for Ryan.
Hold on, Mio.
Being wrong, man.
No, what I'm
asking you. Let's steer this back to something else. How do you feel as Mio? Are you a third positionist? Do you believe in basically corporatism, command economy, stuff like that?
Those are a lot of $5.
He's asking if you're a fascist, man.
Oh no, that's no.
Well, do you like neoliberalism?
Not really. It's
okay. This is neoliberalism. This is in effect. This is corporations using slave labor to aggrandize themselves, to make fucking money. This is them using incarcerated people. This is them using human chattel as assets to line their corporate coffers.
I get it, man. And we're like, we live in a society, in a place where it wasn't like corporate oligarchs that ran our country because you people like you think democracy is good. Maybe not you specifically, but the types. Maybe if it wasn't for that, then we'd have a better controlled like prison system that wasn't like for profit and all of that as well. Maybe we wouldn't have a prison union that has like lobbying special interests that gets power to like get more people arrested. Maybe there's a red pill about our liberal democracy in there somewhere, but given that like we live in a society, right, like this is where we're at, we have to start from here.
We this is where we're at, and there's a lot of things that we can do to little interstitial steps that we can do to make this better. Giving them a living wage and actually preparing them, because I think that you're hung up on the violent, and that's very sensible, because we generally steel man it up or we straw man it. We go to the weakest actors or the most severe actors in this. You're talking about child rapists and fucking like sexual people who do sexual assault, people who like murder their wives, right? We're talking about shit like that. But the overwhelming majority of people in jail are there because for probation or parole violations for smoking weed, and weed was made illegal. Weed was made illegal specifically to target Chicano people in California, like as outlaid by Atwater and Nixon. Heroin and marijuana were made illegal basically to create arbitrary reasons to lock people up who are marginalized.
That's pretty false, though.
False in what way?
Okay,
false in what way?
Let's hear it.
Push that CIA is like super racist, like putting the war
CIA
on drugs.
is
You're pushing all
racist?
these talking points. The reason that this kind of stuff. But I want to ask.
The CIA is racist.
You're saying they need to work for their soul. I'm pushing talking points,
Yeah,
but you're
that's
saying
real.
they need to.
Hello, their souls are more real than anything that you've ever done.
like
in your
That's
life.
no. That's the opposite of what you've been saying. That's the opposite of what you've been saying.
Citation needed.
What do you
That's the
believe?
opposite
We're
of what
a
you've
bunch
been
of
saying.
meat puppets,
Like,
man.
you
It's
got
incredible.
it.
Wow, what's the most?
You're
What's the
acting like
greatest
a meat
thing you've ever
puppet.
done in your life?
You're
Okay,
acting
wait.
like a meat
Yeah.
puppet.
Citation,
I-
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so go to Carson, then go to I think Kidnap, and then me,
Yeah.
and then Mythic. Let's like there was like 4 people talking at one time.
Yeah, but I was just gonna ask. Is there a place where you guys would be okay with labor without pay?
What? No.
No.
What?
Dude.
No.
No,
No. I'm not a big fan of
situation.
slavery. That's why I'm here on this debate.
Slavery?
Okay.
You act like
You said
slavery?
work without pay. What the fuck are you
Define
talking
labor
about?
without
Like,
pay.
labor under coercion.
You mean like community
what?
service? You mean like community service? There is
Like
community
mutual
service.
aid,
I said,
And I'm not mad at that. In lieu of incarceration, going and doing some
I said just
community
forcing
good and
people to
mutual
work
aid and
without
stuff
paying.
like
But
that.
wouldn't somebody like you 10 years from now be like, oh, that's a form of slavery? Right?
I don't
Wait,
mind.
my
In
dude,
lieu of incarceration, that this, as far as a low wage, almost free, you force someone to show up. You say, hey, I'm going to give you X hours. You show up here and you pick up lit. That actually saves them, the state some money and does some good work and is enough of a deterrent where it's a fucking really annoying to go do, and it makes you think twice about minor transgressions. I don't mind something like that, but to equivocate that with like literally going and doing manual labor for free for a prison where you're getting paid 17 cents an hour, and the federal government is banking $300 million in the first quarter of 2018 doing it. That's way fucking different.
Here's
Wait.
the
So you made a
thing.
you made a
This is
point.
my-
You made a point. No. You guys both talked, and
Sorry.
you made a point that which is really funny. I kind of want to ask you what you mean by this, because I'm sure you mean something. You must. So this idea that working without pay isn't necessarily slavery. What do you mean? Like having hobbies? What do you mean by that?
Hobbies?
Are you asking if I think that hobbies are ethical, or do you mean being forced to work without pay? And if that's what you're asking, what is the difference between that and slavery? I'm sure you have a point there somewhere.
But who are you asking?
You.
Me. Okay. So you're acting like this is slavery though,
Tell
putting
me
somebody
how
who
it's
broke the law. So you said there's no place where you'd allow work without pay.
You said that working without being forced to work without being paid is not necessarily slavery.
Hold on, wait. You gotta let him answer.
You're acting like some pedophile who fucks a little boy is being enslaved by the system.
You're saying it's good to
for
enslave
breaking
them,
the
but
law
we
and
need
these immoral actions. You said there's no place for anybody to be put to forced labor, and I just think that's ridiculous.
Listen,
these people aren't enslaved.
Sawing out on the word
right.
slavery is not going to help you here. You might as well just say sawing out on the word slavery is not going to help you here. You have to have definitions for these words. So if you were
didn't
saying
even provide a definition when you brought up the word slavery, I wasn't the first one who brought it up.
no, it was implied in the statement of working without pay. What the fuck are you talking about? If you were going to say that working without pay is not necessarily slavery, you need to tell me what that is, because it seems like you're sawing out over the term slavery as if there's some sort of a virtue signaling that's within the word that you're afraid of. Tell me what it is. If you think putting pedophiles to slavery is good, just fucking say that, but don't fucking soy over the definition.
I think
It's literally definitionally slavery in the 13th Amendment. It says slavery is illegal except when they're incarcerated.
I want his definition. I want his definition.
That using indentured servitude or using involuntary service while incarcerated is a legal form of slavery. It's literally in the 13th Amendment.
Yeah, no, that is
I want his
13th
definition. Let's hear it.
Let me go and then kid knock.
That is the 13th Amendment. It does say slavery is illegal unless it's a punishment for a crime. That's basically what it says. So yeah, it is legal to have slavery in the U.S. if it's a punishment for a crime right now. Personally, if somebody raped my daughter I wouldn't care if you call it slavery or whatever.
What about somebody who sold weed to 14-year-olds?
For the rest of his natural life, like.
What about somebody who sells weed to high schoolers? I have no sympathy
for that kind of person.
They're not going to be in there for the rest of their life. They'll be in there for an 8 to 10 year stretch, and then what?
As a slave, he's going to be a slave for 8 to 10 years.
Hold on a second, because both Gremloe and he hasn't really been able to get in there, and Kid Knockin' were trying to talk. So.
Yeah, I don't
they
think
can't over you. What freaking? What were they calling you in chat?
Well, look, there's so much masculine energy coming from the guys with the pink lights. It's really hard to jump in.
Nah, there's a lot of estrogen in this chat.
I know. You soy ass little bitch.
With your testosterone.
Did your mom set up your background? It looks like a fucking live. You're just missing a live, laugh, love sign. You fucking soy ass Karen. Get the fuck out of here.
You have pink in your room, dude.
Look at your little knickknacks. Look at your little knickknacks.
Aren't those epic? I love these things.
Yo, is that a cross? Yo, let's go.
I think they're pretty dope.
He's got a cross.
Put it upside down. Put it upside down. Put it upside down. Put it upside down.
Why do you guys have pink backgrounds?
My Little Pony. I mean, like, I'm out here collecting American artifacts.
Who gives a shit? Okay, let's
artifacts.
Gremloe.
Yeah, they're old. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, if I could jump in here.
Go ahead.
It seems to me that you two don't really care about this issue. It's only about punishment and some kind of like proselytizing. So, and you keep bringing up pedophilia as if like that's the only thing that happens in these prisons. So if it's someone who like, I don't know, gets arrested for possession of marijuana, you know, we're talking about like enslaving them or like that we have to somehow like punish them. It's very strange and very punitive. And I mean, it makes sense for people who were born after 9/11 to kind of have this opinion. You know, you haven't quite had your brain developed the entire time, so I don't really know exactly.
By the way, I walked on top of the Twin Towers before 9/11.
No one gives a shit.
Oh, that's pretty dope, actually.
That's pretty cringe, dude. No one gives a shit.
So, yeah, by the way, just throwing it out there, you know.
Incredible.
I was really high up in the air, guys. Just I want to let you know. I was really high fucking up there.
Scary, honestly. My
I
aunt
did
told me,
9/11.
she's like, if you drop a penny off the top of this tower right now, it would go through a taxi by the time it goes down. And I was like terrified I was going to drop a penny and kill somebody.
That's really great. I'm glad to hear it. Grandma, did you have another point?
Fun story.
Don't disrespect his story. He's telling a good story from his
yeah,
story.
I don't give a shit about it.
Fuck that story. He should be incarcerated for that story.
That's a cringe ass story, dude.
Break up bricks forever. Break up rocks.
You have a freaking mullet, man. You have a mullet.
Yeah, I know. Based. You look like an undercover Mormon. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
Oh,
you look like you're trying to sell me fucking Bibles right now.
He looks like a clean fucking nerd. Bad white guy. Oh no, like yeah, Mormons are known.
That sounded all bad.
Wait, does he have braces? I gotta enlarge him in hands.
Dude with an anime avatar.
Does he have braces?
In jail for being retarded, man. Seriously.
Anyways.
So now we get to the real thick of it. You want to jail retarded people. I get it.
I want to jail people like you, man.
Yeah,
I want to jail people like you. Back in the based-ass Soviet Union, we had a little place for people like you. It was called the Gulag.
Oh, yeah. Can we get some Gulag signs for Mythic? If you want Mythic in the Gulag, drop it in chat. Gulag.
You are the Gulagers.
I heard he actually
You are the ones who belong in Gulag.
How many Gulag signs we can get?
Okay.
Hi.
Yes.
I still want a definition. I'm going to assume that you conceded that point, right? Yeah, I'm going to.
Do we not care? Do we not care that prison labor is bad? Is bad for workers on the street? Do we not care about the workers, like the fucking average Joes trying to work and they can't compete?
Workers. I don't think I put the dudes who are breaking the law on the same level as somebody.
He's not talking about them. He's talking about actual workers.
He's so fucking dumb. He doesn't even understand the point.
He can't even understand what you're saying.
He doesn't even understand the point.
Okay,
well, no, the thing is,
if you have people in prisons working for free, that means people who do that job can't compete in the market.
Here's the thing. It's
literally happened in the 1930s.
There are much better ways to spend the U.S. government's resources to benefit for workers who haven't broken the law than to make things better for prisoners and pay them.
Reducing recidivism helps the economy. You're bringing workers back into the economy. What the fuck are you talking about?
It's expensive to lock people up.
Reducing recidivism, first of all, doesn't work very well.
It doesn't work very well in the United States, right? Sure, we don't seem to want it.
Secondly,
especially if you just have them doing labor the whole time.
I know that this is.
I know that this is. Hold on, you guys. Let me finish this point, and then Gremloe, you can go.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, just doesn't work very well, and it's very expensive, and the resources would be spent way better to benefit the working Americans who haven't committed any crimes, where the justice system exists to shelter from these people.
Communist
there are much better
confirmed.
ways to allocate those resources to benefit them.
Then prison, I agree.
Is your name Gremloe?
Yes.
Go ahead.
All right, Mio, what's the recidivism rate of the United States, average, across the board?
What, like 7 out of 10 go back, right? Something like that?
No, it's around like 53%.
Okay.
On average across, well, depending on which study you look at. Do you know what the average recidivism rate in Finland is?
For sure.
Okay, do you know what it is in Finland?
Lower, definitely in Finland.
Definitely.
But
Why?
not significantly.
What do you mean
It's
definitely?
more than 10%.
He's gonna say culture.
What is the U.S. recidivism rate in Finland? Well, I mean, culture is right? People act different.
It's
But, like,
more than
what's the
10%.
recidivism rate? It's
More than 10% less.
More than 10% less than what, 60%, something like that. So it's still like half. And how much money have they put into these systems? How much money have they put? I've seen the types of programs they have to like make life better for prisoners. To make it really nice for them.
Do you know what the per capita incarcerated
rate is?
rate
And they still
is?
have like above a 50% recidivism rate.
No, it's below 50%.
These people, okay, well, barely. So like
No,
these
it's
people,
well below
again, it's like
50%. It's way below.
Resources, and
It's
again,
well below.
before they
Also,
did all
their
of that,
incarceration
they had
rate
systems
per
in
capita
place
is
to
less.
benefit their average citizens, right? They had healthcare, they had all of this other stuff. They had programs to benefit.
Yeah,
the workers.
Yeah, healthcare
the
sounds like a
things
good
that
idea.
we're
Things
saying
too.
Way
to
before they
do.
started paying for prisoners and making all of this like life just sunshine and roses for them.
Yeah,
Okay.
they actually use their old prisons, which just look like our prisons, as museums to say, look how barbaric we used to be.
No, I think you had a really good point. I'm going to give you this one that like having things like better healthcare, better living conditions for the poor, etc., seems to actually reduce the amount of people that end up in prison. Why do you think that is?
True.
Why?
I mean, I think it's obvious, right? It's like they're
Yeah,
just
it
better
is.
off. They're less likely. They're less incentivized to commit crime, stuff like that. Again, it's like focusing on stuff like that before we focus on prisoners is a much better.
We focus
you're
on a
gonna
lot of
benefit
things
more
at the same
people.
time.
You're
We
gonna
focus on
keep
a
more
lot of things
people
at
out
the
of
same
You can
time.
do both.
Governments are very efficient at this.
Well, I mean, again, it's like the government doesn't have enough money for all the stuff that it's doing already.
The United States
We
doesn't?
already
The
do
United
cutting,
The
States?
right?
United States has plenty of money to
Exactly,
do this.
and they're spending bad money after bad
we're
money.
just making up money at this point. We don't have enough money. Are you kidding me? We've been in a
Exactly.
deficit. China doesn't even have a fucking deficit.
It's
Are you
because
kidding?
of reasons like
this.
this.
Is not normal.
We
This is
pay
not
so
normal
much
at
to
all.
China is a
we pay
production
so much to
economy.
private prison companies to lock people up unnecessarily towards our own detriment. You're correct. This doesn't make sense. Even on paper, this doesn't make sense. Any sociologist will look at you and say, this is a formula for
paying the
disaster.
prisoners solves that whole problem, right? Spending more money on what rehabilitating them, which again is like super expensive. It doesn't really work. After all of those programs, all the money Finland's put into it, they dropped their recidivism rate 10% compared to ours. Are you kidding?
No,
I bet
actually,
If we spent as much on education as we do on fucking building these for-profit prisons, that would be a good start. But the problem is, you guys don't appreciate that education is the panacea. That's where this shit starts with. It's literally people marginalized in the system through fucking shitty schools. Everybody here has a fucking experience in school where they felt talked over, talked down, wrong. Like everyone here is cringe at unjust hierarchy being levied against them. For some people, that doesn't stop. It compounds from there, and then it's the kindergarten to preschool or the preschool to prison pipeline. Some motherfuckers are almost predestined to go into prison just for the betterment of society. Mavericks, creative thinkers.
That's true.
People with amygdalas that are challenged in that they don't have as much impulse control as other people. People like me who like to yell at people arbitrarily on fucking on panels.
People with low impulse control. Would you say people with lower IQs tend to go to prison too more?
Probably.
People in lower income areas tend to have lower IQs.
If you're going to use IQ as a metric, but you can draw that to socioeconomic.
Yeah,
conditions as
this
to
is
why
actually a
these
self-report on your
outcomes.
part. This is actually a self-report on your part because you also made
Get
the
'em.
point. You also made the point that like things like not having healthcare, being in poor living conditions because of poverty, are going to be things that will bring you into prison. But also like these things are directly tied to IQ as well. So like, what do you want to do? Like, how do you want to help this society outside of prison that you guys claim to care so much about? Like,
Well, that's the thing.
how are you going to do this? Yeah, of course not. This is
Well, no. I mean, okay. So here's some stats for you. Okay. Usually,
give me 'em.
Here's some of the psychology clinical literature or whatever, right?
Yeah, there's
if
fucking
children aren't
humanity.
This
Fucking
dude-
bullshit.
Let him finish. Let me- you guys let me-
soy.
Yeah,
This
hey,
dude's
like,
Googled
hold on.
psychology like an hour
I'm
ago.
bringing up like studies and stuff for the first time, and you guys aren't all like, on the edge.
No,
Of
hit me
your
with it. I'm
seats
so
about
horny for
Oh
it.
yeah, let's go.
All right, so it turns out like children, if they're not properly socialized by like the age of 4, then there's like basically nothing that you can do. Psychologists have tried like everything you can think of. There's basically nothing you can do except just like lock them away until they like age out at like 25 or something like that. There's really like no option. They're not going to fit into
Okay,
society.
so
They're not going to mold
better
it. Now,
conditions
secondly,
for children. Let's go.
Let
Okay.
him finish
So
his
what do you
point.
do
Now,
with those
hold on.
people?
Yeah, wait, let him finish
Hold
his
on,
point.
there's
and
more
then-
to it than that. It gets worse. So it turns out, IQ is like the most proven social claim in social
it's not.
science.
No, it's not.
That there is.
No,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not.
Oh, yeah.
No,
By a
it's
lot.
not, buddy.
By a
Mio,
lot, it's the most proven
Mio,
one that there
I am a
is.
sociologist. It's
Evolution is.
Yeah, well, I mean, it absolutely is. No,
Neuroplasticity.
No, it's one of the most
absolutely is.
contested. It's one of the most
It's
contested.
most
Yeah.
contested.
No, it's not
Neuroplasticity
at
is what you're
all.
looking
It's
for.
not at all.
Are you
You are
dyslexic?
talking
Like,
to a sociologist.
The U.S. government, the Army, all the
Yeah,
standardized
it's like they're
tests, they
way
all
behind on the
correlate with
times.
IQ. They all.
Listen, there's so many fucking numbers in IQ, guys. There's so many numbers.
ASVAB doesn't test for IQ.
The FCAT, they all correlate with IQ. All the scores
No.
correlate with IQ. It's
No.
general cognitive intelligence.
That's
And
not
so-
what
Yo,
IQ
your cognitive
is.
intelligence
Absolutely,
must be
and you know
so
what- you know what
fucking
else?
low if you don't
You know what
understand
else?
this point.
It's
Hold on,
the
hold on.
number
We're gonna
one-
wait, Mio, just let me okay. So we're gonna let Mio talk, and then Gremloe, you can go. But just you
Okay.
guys are killing me with the.
It's
Like,
Can I yell? Can I interject when I need to?
no.
here's the thing. It's the number one predictor of life success that there is. It still
it's your
leaves a
zip
lot of
code.
it unsolved. It still like leaves like 70% of the equation unsolved, right? But IQ is the single best metric that you can use to predict life success. The Army did studies on this in order to see who's the most competent, because that makes you more likely to win wars, right? So they really studied this hard, and they put a lot of money and effort into studying this.
It's
And
okay.
what they said is that if a person has an IQ of less than 83, then they cannot be trained to do anything at all that isn't positively counterproductive. They can't do anything at all. They're useless. The Army
That's why he's on
refused to accept people with an IQ of less than 83 for that reason. They were useless, okay? Now here's the question. Those people cannot exist productively in society. What percent of people is that have an IQ of less than 83? 10%.
At least
of our
2 on this
society.
panel.
That is 10% of our society. Well, if you want to talk about who it really is, Mythic was talking about impulse control, and we got into this.
At least
Okay,
3
buddy.
then.
Okay,
the
buddy.
average, right? You want to talk about the average African American IQ in America is
Here we go.
85, and half of them are dumber than that.
Okay, you already.
You want to know who is the 10% that makes up all the people who are useless and counterproductive in society, who make up the majority of the prison population?
Self-report.
All of this stuff. That
It's
is
okay.
how
I got
that
this.
is how the reason that's the case. They absolutely cannot be productive members of society, a vast majority of them. And
Okay,
so the
is there an
question
end
is,
to
what do
this?
we
'Cause
do with
I'd
these
like to
people? Is
speak.
there any way that they can contribute at all whatsoever? Right, and so that is just how it's going to be. They're never going to
So
integrate.
are you
so Bob-
saying the only way
No,
they
wait,
can contribute-
wait, hold up.
Okay, wait. It was gonna be Gremloe next. I
Then
believe.
Gremloe better fucking hop on this motherfucker hard. Go ahead.
All right. So IQ is not, and I'll tell you why. Okay, and we can bring this all in because you're saying okay,
Yell.
their IQ is below this certain level, so there's nothing that they can do. Okay, that's bullshit because neuroplasticity is actually what we measure in sociological studies. Okay, in 2015, Eldar Shafir went to India to study farmers before and after the season and measured their IQ actually, so we can actually use your metric before and after. Before the crops were yielded, they had this IQ, and after they were yielded, they had this IQ. Average of 14-point difference. Okay, the reason that you're seeing these levels of IQ in these lower income communities is because they're existing in conditions where anyone would have that IQ and anyone would make those decisions. You are not taking into account the broader scope of things that contribute to lower neuroplasticity or lower IQ level if you're going to take that into account. You just don't use these metrics correctly, and that is the thing that leads, because you're essentializing these things. You're saying, well, this is a black community, and they have a lower IQ. Well, that must be essential to them. There must be something wrong with them. That's the problem with the way that you're viewing these things. You're not actually operating from any kind of like broader analysis. You're just assuming, okay, well, black people have lower IQ. Well, that's why they have higher criminality.
Low IQ is also associated with conservative thinking, by the way. There's an inverse relationship with collegiate, being college educated and identifying as conservative. I think we should also talk about that.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of studies on that.
They've done studies on this, by the way. They've done studies like in Minnesota, the transracial adoption study, right? So children of various races were adopted at an early age and raised by upper middle class white parents. The IQ of the adopted kids at age 17, an average 106. The adopted black kids.
So because dumb people exist, you think people should work in unpaid fashion in prison? What the fuck does this have to do with unpaid? What does this have to do with a private company utilizing slave labor in prison?
They're trying to justify people. They're trying to justify people of low IQ being in not only the most likely to go to prison, but the people that should stay in prison, the people that should be subjected to slave labor.
No, what he's doing is this is what argument. Where you say like we're
no, this is not true. If you guys have any points that actually connect to each other, like any form of logic in this argument whatsoever, and like you could totally make the case that you don't. But it does seem to be the case that you were making the argument that one, people with lower IQ are more likely to be entering prisons. You self-reported because you already said that like at younger ages it is environment. No, it is. No. You also made the claim that like people of your IQ is most affected when you're young in infant stages, and so this sort of means that you understand that this is part of neuroplasticity and its relationship to the environment, which is also something that you claimed. So why you decided to bring in the fact that African Americans have lower IQs in the United States for some fucking reason that you should already know based on your own points, but you're also arguing that they are ending up in prison, and most of these people should stay in prison doing things like hard labor for no money. You were making the actual argument that these people should be subjected to slave labor. This is if you have any sort of consistency within your own like arguments here, this is what you're saying. But you, by all means, let me know if that is not the case, and then we can just continue to dunk on you for slowing out on stream.
It's consistent. They should be slave labor if they rape children.
If they rape children, no.
That doesn't even naturally fucking follow. Here's the deal. Let's get down to this. Let's get down to this. Do you agree with the PIECP, the Prison Industry Enhancement Certification Program, which is supposed to teach job vocation, which is supposed to help with rehabilitation?
Sounds nice.
Okay, that's literally the component. That's literally the mechanism that's being used to fucking put these people to work.
Okay, here's the thing.
For rehabilitation. This is done for rehabilitation.
Okay, here's the thing.
So you disagree with the underlying premise that you're arguing for.
Rehabilitation. There are a lot of
no one's being sent to a mine. No, there's no one being sent to a mine.
I know, it's just a joke. I'm
saying again, conservatives trying to take jobs away from hardworking coal mining Americans
instead of just working out and like doing this sort of stuff.
Both are probably good. I agree that getting structure can be beneficial. That's why group homes should be utilized more than probation and parole. I think group homes socialize people. They give them community. They can give them some kind of chores and tasks and teach people to fucking communicate people in a meaningful way. I agree. And in some methods, while you're in prison, having vocational training, number one, and number two, having a structure imposed upon you through which you can sort of learn muscle memory to get through the fucking day under a system where your basic necessities are financialized, where you literally curl up in a ball and die unless you have a job. I get it. The problem is who's fucking profiting from that fucking work? And as it stands now, private fucking fat cats are fucking making millions and calling it rehabilitation and then sending warriors back into the society,
maybe
having
we can
done
agree
nothing.
On that because there's nothing I hate more than corporations.
The private prisons
like,
are
I think we can maybe agree on that. But the idea of sending these people to work is actually a good thing.
You said that there's a decent society that these people have.
You guys let Carson finish his thought at least. All right, go ahead, Carson.
Yeah, like when I was growing up in like the foster care system, they would send me to military school so I could like learn discipline and whatnot. The reason that you do this sort of stuff is so you can get structure in life, and it's important to that's rehabilitating a lot of these guys also. So.
How come your arguments are so unstructured then?
What's that?
How come your arguments are so unstructured?
Oh, zing! Got him, zing!
Ooh, wow, incredible! It's almost like I didn't really know the topic.
He was waiting for that one too.
No, we know, but we're being patient.
Yeah, wow.
Here's the thing. So, Mythic, on some level, I can agree with you, man. There are some people who get locked up for like bullshit reasons that shouldn't even be laws, right? Like a guy who goes in for something like, marital rape. Like, obviously, it's not the same. Obviously, it shouldn't be a law. It doesn't matter. But, when you're talking about like, pedophiles or something like that, then it's like, that's why maybe a tiered system would be a good solution. Or
I'm not mad at a tier system. Okay, no, I'm not. Just to be clear, I'm not doubling down on his marital rape thing. Okay, I was thinking more like smoking weed on probation and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Just to clarify. But I agreed. Brittany, the lefty on the panel, the lefty host of Politically Provoked, also agreed in a tiered system. I do believe that there's a level in between rehabilitative measures and punitive measures that need to be enacted. But the problem is, as it stands now, almost everybody that passes into the doors of a private prison or literally just any kind of state prison are literally treated in the same manner. So the problem is there's not that tiered system that we would all like to see. I do think that the punishment should fit the crime, and while they're in there, we want to make sure that we're not actively making motherfuckers worse because they're going to get out one day. They're going to get out one day.
Maybe here's our epic handshake compromise, okay? Here's our epic handshake is maybe for like lesser crimes that people are in prison for, like non-violent crimes specifically, maybe stuff like that. For lesser crimes, maybe they shouldn't be slaves and that should be outlawed. However, for some crimes, maybe they should be slaves and we should just enslave them,
It's not the slavery component that I think does it necessarily. And even then, one of the things that people aren't realizing about this is that the for-profit prisons are run like a company store. They get them coming and going. The phone calls are like $15 to $30 a day for the scant family members that they have left. It's like $15 to $30 a day to call out. They can lose a whole day's wage on like a stick of deodorant. And everything is super financialized, and they're like basically class C and class B prisoners unless they like go to doing other crimes like slinging or whatever inside the prison to sort of subsidize their standard of living, which is the only fucking thing they care about at that point. Yeah, so they're going to do it some way or another. So I think that equitably paying them and not taking out of the fucking hands of the fucking dipshit fucking corporate interests and literally paying the people who are doing the fucking work, I think that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, let's be honest,
too. That's like a big deal out of like fatherlessness homes in the black community to dog whistle. So if you actually have an issue with that, you'll want to pay the people who are in prison so that they can send it to their families and that they can afford things for school and food and all that shit.
Yeah, I mean not only that, but also like the amount that they're actually being paid. The amount that they're actually being paid in these prisons is actually a lot less than the numbers that we're giving here. I mean the wage that these people are getting are a minimum of I believe it was 13 cents an hour up to around $1.30
but they garnish up to 80% of the wages.
Exactly. Not because they have to pay for room and board, they have to pay taxes, they have to do all of these things with the money. So the money that they actually get to spend is a lot less than that. I would like to know what you guys think is like for the average person in prison, because I don't know if you guys know this, but not everyone in prison is a pedophile or a rapist. That's actually like a minority of the people that are in prison. So like, if that's the case, how much do you think these people should be getting paid? Like how much, like after taxes, room and board, like all of that? How are we going to define what is like a good wage for these people? Like how would you parse it out?
Should be determined by what your work is worth to the state, and then like you can like on top of that maybe like if you're paying your debt back to society, like some sort of financial debt
for livability. Give me like a
people and not the fat cat corporations, naturally, of course.
Well, I mean, you're shilling for the corporations because these are the people that are making money off of this. Like these private prisons.
What if we're all against private prisons and now we're debating policy like past that, right?
Yeah, but we're not there yet. But that's not the actuality. The actuality is it's private prisons and corporations doing this.
Yeah, but we think they should be working for the people, just not for corporations. So we're not going to agree to like no working. And then we cancel private prisons, and then we send them back to work. We're just going to say, let's cancel private prisons. Now they're
how does doing boxing and shipping for Starbucks help the people? How is that paying a toll?
People want Starbucks, dude. The people want
Victoria's Secret, who is also
for corporations again.
who also was tied up with the Jeffrey Epstein thing through what's his name? Fucking I forget his name. The president of Victoria's Secret, who's in league with Jeffrey Epstein, gave him that summer house in Manhattan.
The guy who gave him that house for free. Yeah.
These are the people we're talking about. These are the people who are benefiting off this prison labor. I don't think anybody should be for this. And it's like, what is the prison labor for? We're basically, and even the United States government itself saying this is a stopgap measure to stop companies from outsourcing to like Indonesia, Bangladesh, the Philippines and stuff like that. We're basically saying, hey, use these fucking Americans like they're third world employees.
I have a question.
You didn't have an answer though. You didn't have an answer though. Are you conceding the last point?
Well, no, just building off his point. What are your thoughts on Kamala Harris doing the making like trying to make prisoners work for less, right? She's doing
fuck
what
Kamala
you were
Harris.
against, right?
Yeah,
fuck her.
Yeah, fuck her.
Right.
Are you lost, dude?
Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Are you lost? Do you know where you're at right now? Do you know?
Yeah, none of us like Kamala Harris. None of us are liberals.
You want to answer the question though?
Yeah, like you can go back to the question unless you just want to concede it.
What
You
was
totally
his question again?
Oh, he doesn't even remember. I'm asking you like
Wow.
how much these people should be.
Just tell him the question again.
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah, okay. I'll be good faith. Okay, I have a feeling that somewhere deep down you might be able to answer these questions. I will come at you earnestly, but so like how much should these people be paid on average, like the average person in prison? Because
Which
not
crime?
everyone.
Name a crime, and I'll tell you how much they should be paid.
Name a crime, and you'll tell me any. Other than pedophilia, because I know that's the one you want to stick to most, and you don't quite realize that other people are in prison.
Serial killers.
The average person in prison. Let's focus on like the structure of prison, because it seems like you're more concerned about like the integrity of the soul of the individuals and in relation to Christianity or whatever. It's super fucking cringe. But like we're talking about an institution, right? If we're no, listen. Hey, chill out, okay.
Hey, I'm very calm.
Okay. No, I was confused.
Whoa, Mio, relax.
Buddy.
Stressed out. I was never great at
Your blood pressure.
Buddy.
Send you guys.
I wasn't great at
Buddy, please. Buddy, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're not doing yourself any favors here. You're not doing yourself any favors. So, if you want to answer the question, you totally can, or you can pass it.
I'm just asking you to specify. Name a crime.
Yeah, I'm saying the average person. What is the average? What is the median?
What's the average person in prison for?
Do you not have an answer for this? The average person in prison. The average person in prison is there for drug crimes. The average person in prison is there for drug crimes.
What's your favorite food? And I could be like, what kind of food? And you're like, you're not answering. And
okay, drug possession. Drug possession is the average crime that for people in prison. So like, tell me what you think these people should be getting paid. Like how it relates to their well-being.
Well, it
like
depends on the cost of living in their area first, right?
In their area. No. These people are in prison. They're not in society.
Room and board is covered. Okay.
Outside of room and board. I want you to tell me how these people should be able to like live.
$4.35. Hey, that's more than servers get paid without tips. You know, it's not a bad deal. Take it.
So
or leave it.
Can I tell you the reason why I'm asking this question?
That's my first offer. You can make a counter offer.
I know it's a little bit confusing, but I have a reason why I'm asking this question here, because it's going to impact the way that these people relate also to their recidivism, but also to the families and the economy outside of the prison when they enter back into society, because most of these people are entering back into society. Do you want them to have things like money put away to be able to afford rent when they get out, like to be able to take care of their families, to be able to join the workforce again? Like, is this something that you think is valuable?
Mio, why don't you care about the troops?
The troops are gay.
Okay, true.
Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy.
I'm starting to like you.
You got this.
Okay,
you got this.
Hey, thanks, Carson. I like you too so far, man.
Buddy, you got this.
Carson, what do you think about the troops?
These guys to prison. Let's make them more.
Do you think that the troops? Do you think that the troops should be sent overseas with faulty equipment?
I don't think they should be sent overseas at all, honestly.
Okay, base. Never mind.
Yeah,
I was going to talk about how the fucking the prison labor, literally they made a bunch of Kevlar helmets for the troops, but that had to get recalled. It was unsafe for them or whatever, but it sounds like everyone agrees that's low-key based. Anyways, we should be sabotaging the Imperial Core whenever we can.
Let's go. All right.
Yeah, so never mind. Yeah, I think we all agree on that.
So true.
I don't
Okay,
want to agree with you guys.
Yeah, I'll say that. I'll say that you just.
But he does though.
I'll say you're just gonna pull out of the last question. That's totally fine.
No, they don't give a fuck about rehabilitation.
No, of course they don't. Of course they
They're
don't.
looking at this as a woman. They're literally, they do not have object permanence. They're like, criminal go away.
They're like
Criminal in jail, criminal disappear. Oops, criminal's back. Uh-oh, criminal do more crime.
They're racist goldfish.
Pretty easy to
I said
predict.
435 tops. Okay, that's a real.
You mean a
number.
regular goldfish?
He was saying that you're like stupid,
Rio,
low IQ
Rio,
and stuff like
look,
that.
you don't want to be wearing diapers, Rio. I see you, and you just look. You can avoid that whole situation. Just like open the Bible or something, please. Sorry, unrelated. 435, dude. There's your answer.
Okay, so how much do you think people should be leaving prison with? The average person. Let's say people that are in prison for 5 to 10 years. How much money should they be leaving prison with? Enough for what? You don't have to give me a number. Just enough for what?
If they're in prison for 5 years, hopefully
5 to 10 years
saved up to like what? Like go halvesies on an apartment with somebody, right?
Oh shit! Like how much do you think that might be?
Can I give you an anecdote?
$100.
Can I give you an anecdote?
Why are we paying prisoners? Like I don't know how we got to this page. Mio, why
Oriental Trading Co. Here's an example. Here's an example. Here's an example. Under Unicor, the Oriental Trading Company Incorporated did a contract with the prison. Dominique Morgan worked for them for 10 years, doing fucking office party tchotchkes for like catering company, tablecloths or whatever. Basically, he just did work making stuff for this company, Oriental Trading Company. He made 37 cents an hour. Up to half of that was able to get garnished for restitution, and after 10 fucking years he left prison with $300, which is not enough to go halvesies on someone's apartment. It's not enough to go halvesies on someone's apartment. We are literally setting people up for recidivism with these type of programs in lieu of other measures.
Wait, what did he do?
I forget. He was doing one of those he was doing those keep alive crimes. I listened to this article earlier. He was doing like those he was like basically stealing to eat and stuff like that. He was kicked out. He had a situation was similar to Carson's. He went through group homes. He was he couldn't control his behavior. He was kicked out of a group home. He became homeless, and from like 16 on, he was like stealing food and stuff like that. He racked up a bunch of felonies.
Similar to me.
Yes.
Yo, Carson is basically Aladdin.
What?
Wait, Mythic, you had a really good point, I think. Mythic,
trying to like
created an entire childhood for you, I think.
Yeah.
Mythic, I think you had a really good point here.
So you had mentioned group homes is why I brought that up.
I think you had a really good point of like, listen, if you're gonna go like halfsies on an apartment, that's just gonna cost you like at least like what? Like what do you guys think? Like 1,500? Let's go for people that actually like rent. And
what?
Like,
1,500 for half? What do you?
You need a deposit.
Yeah.
You need a deposit and utilities. Yeah, when you move out, when you move out of your mom's house, maybe you can like chip in on this conversation. But, like,
Boom,
I'm almost 30. What are you talking about?
Plus the credit.
Yeah, one, you need good credit. If you don't have good credit, if you don't have good credit, you're gonna have to pay a higher deposit.
We're gonna go to kid, not kin or whatever, and then Mia.
Yeah. Okay. So like people here maybe in chat that actually like have put down payments on an apartment, put money aside for utilities, and are able to maintain labor, after getting an apartment themselves. Like you're gonna need well over $500 if you're gonna come to the fucking the tenants market here and try and get an apartment for $500 fucking dollars. Like you're fucking. You're speaking out of your fucking ass, dude. No. You're speaking out of your fucking ass, dude. Like that's not how this works. So like, but I'll give it to you here. I'll give it to you here. Let's pretend. Let's go into imagination land and pretend like only $500 you can go out and you can fucking get an apartment with a friend. Okay, if that is the case, you're working for 5 to 10 years or so. You're going to have to be able to. Is the friend a pedophile? Yeah, right.
I'm trying to put myself in Mayo's perspective. Is the friend a pedophile or not?
Yeah,
I need
probably.
to know.
Right.
Otherwise,
if you're going to if you are going to be trying to get an apartment like this, and you're trying to come out of prison from 5 to 10 years and have at least $500, that means that's outside of the money for room and board and taxes and food and being able to call a network with people inside of prison. So that means all of that aside, you're still going to have to be making at least a minimum wage inside of this prison. right? Like,
Bro, but
like
why are we like debating rent? I thought this was about
because you guys
the rent is too goddamn high, and you fucking know it. You fucking know it. The rent is too goddamn high.
I asked you guys. No, this is your point. This is your point.
Because of BlackRock, and what weren't you people?
I'm making your point for you.
Who's you people? Who's
Somebody
you people?
who is defending?
How did you find out that I was a parenthesis?
You stupid.
It was
fucking
Tom.
retard.
It was Tom the Fool.
Don't talk at me like that.
Tom the Fool was defending BlackRock. Can you believe that guy?
Tom the Fool? Oh,
Tom
Dimple?
No. Tom Foolery. This,
I don't know who the fuck that
who's
is.
the other guy? Who's
Is this
the other
like a Ligma thing? What is happening?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
No,
probably
no, it's
something like that.
literally
Well,
two leftist guys, and they were defending.
Do you guys
BlackRock
understand the point, or is
buying up
it
all the
like
houses? They were saying that BlackRock buying up everything was good for us. For
are you sewing out
They're
and you
fucking
forgot what's
retarded
happening?
then. Obviously, it's not fucking good.
Why
I don't
does it
even think
always
a
have to do
corporation.
with soy with you, man? There's
Is
no
this-
soy
wait,
in
wait,
my
wait, wait.
fucking diet, dude.
No,
Like, I'm
no,
not
I
a
highly doubt that.
right-wing guy.
I highly doubt that.
I
I bet you take the Alex
eggs
Jones
and I
pills.
drink
So
raw
the thing
milk,
is,
okay?
this is
I
your
don't eat
point.
soy.
This is your
Yeah,
point.
he's on the
You are
lion
the person.
diet.
You are the person who said that people exiting prison that have been there for
I
5 to
tan
10
my
years,
balls.
for people that have been there from
Hey,
5 to 10 years, should be exiting prison with enough money for at least a down payment on an apartment with a friend.
Where
You
is
made that
Britney's
point.
burqa? Where is Britney's burqa? I was led a bit. I thought that this woman would be covered. This is in
during
contradiction
Ramadan,
to my
Where's
ethics.
the blue
We can
bar
agree on
at?
that mythic politics.
The blue bar is not even close. You guys are looking for a burqa. Look at the blue bar.
The burka's on Saturdays. On Saturdays.
I need a burkini.
Only
Saturday.
when-
My sister in the light of Allah during Ramadan, no less.
Mm-hmm.
Sick
Yeah.
stuff. Sick stuff.
Oh god, there's an alarm going off.
Can we stop the rent debate though? Like that's
Why?
like
It's your
totally
point. It was
aside
your
from the
point. You can concede your point
No,
if
but
you
this
want
is
to.
my
Yeah,
point.
but it's
What are you talking
beside
about?
the point. It is
Why
beside
is
the
it
point.
so
No, it's not.
hard for you guys to admit you do not want fucking like fucking
Why are you yelling,
why is it so hard for you to admit you don't want libtard fucking corporations
I
putting
want-
people to work involuntarily and keeping
I
all the
want-
money? Why
I
do you
want
want that? Why are you arguing for
We
that?
don't.
I
We
want
fucking said
pedophiles.
that, man.
You're
Bro,
saying it's fine. You're saying it's fine. You're
No,
saying,
we're
well,
not.
what type
we
of
don't.
crime?
We said
We're
we
gonna
don't
let
like
Carson
corporations.
go.
Let
We think
Carson
that they
go.
should serve the community, pay the debt to the community that they're affecting with these actions, man. We're not
How do you-
talking about corporations. We don't like corporations just as much as you
Then
guys.
why are you simping for them?
Yeah.
Why are we simping for corporations? Incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. The guys who literally like call
No,
us white nationalists. Yeah, we're simping for those guys. The guys that
You're doing it
You
right
are.
now.
No, you are.
You're
But
doing
simping
it.
for them.
you made the point that these people have a
You're-
debt to society, but they're only making money for corporations. So you're simping for corporations.
Yeah, and that's where I'll go. Like, yo, these guys should pay
Yeah,
their
I'll
debt to the
simp for
community.
corporations.
pay
Just
their
whenever
debt to
it
us.
fits my
Yeah,
narrative.
no,
No,
you
there's
agree
no
with that.
place where you'd ever allow them to go to forced labor.
Do
Yeah,
you
you're
guys think
saying
that
they should have
Jewish
no debt
people?
to
Do you
pay to
guys think that
anybody at
Jewish
all?
people are overrepresented in the corporation
I'm a
chairs?
Jewish convert, so
Fair
Good
question.
thing.
Fair question.
I'm just wondering how you guys feel about that.
What
Would
do
you
you
guys
feel
say
about
work
Jews?
sets you free?
What do you think of the
Mythic, you're
JQ?
like you're asking for trouble, like asking these questions while you are all on.
Yeah,
Twitter.
what do you think of
doing?
Jewish
let's get into
government?
this, by the way.
Division
Wait,
between all the
okay,
British
okay,
bands.
Maybe let's not. Yeah.
Come on,
How about
Mythic,
that?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Unbelievable.
What do you think of Jewish influence?
What do you think?
I usually don't.
I think they don't have
You don't
enough.
think about it?
Honestly, I think
So
they
you're
need
just
more
like somebody who's
influence.
like walking around being like, just consuming everything. So then
You guys
know,
stop
the
saying
touch
that
of a
we're white
woman, so
nationalists.
You're
Yeah,
anti-consumerist
like
based.
too.
I
Are
think
you?
that they
Have
need
you
more
considered that you might be a commie?
I can
Are
tell
you
you don't think about it a whole
anti-capitalist?
lot.
Are you anti-capitalist? You're against
was that?
consumerism?
I mean, I'm against like capitalism as it currently exists. Yeah.
Base. So you're
Yeah, very
definitely
cool.
against corporations like Victoria's Secret, J.C. Penney's, Nintendo, Starbucks, Cargill, the Dairy
Raytheon.
Farmers
that
of
money should
America,
go to the
Whole Foods.
state.
Yeah, for the
Money
most
should go
part,
to
yeah.
us.
Most of those guys just fund baby killing. So
The
yeah.
state or the neighborhood where the crimes committed? Because you guys are kind of going back and forth on that. And how does a financial
Ideally, that neighborhood, sure.
then? But how does a financial how does financial restitution actually fix harm?
I mean, the harm can't be fixed, right? You know, a child gets raped, you can't like unring that bell, right? But
Oh,
like,
yeah, I
what
forgot it's only
you can
rapists
do
in
is-
prison.
Yeah, well, you can remove these people from society. You could either like just chop their heads off, or you could get some sort of productive or productivity out of it. So like you might as well, like why not, right? Like this guy raped a child. Like, what do you have sympathy for child rapists, or like let's get a show of hands on that. Like, who has sympathy for child rapists here?
Is your arm
As
asleep?
what?
Is your arm asleep?
There we go. All right. Mythic Politics. Let's check this guy's computer,
and I say that
everybody.
to say this. They're gonna come out someday, stupid. They're gonna come out of that prison,
No,
and
they're
then
not.
what?
You think
What do you
pedophiles should
mean?
come out of
Yeah, they
prison?
fucking do.
That's like
Put them in
fucking
for,
15 years.
Yo,
They'll get like 15
I'm thinking-
years.
I'm
That's
thinking
it. That's
that,
not life.
I'm thinking that Mythic Politics
not
is just-
life.
Wait, you think they get life in prison?
Hey, what do we think about this crime?
You know?
What do we think
Mythic,
about this crime,
Mythic.
guys? The one that doesn't have a life sentence. Oh, he's this guy supporting it.
Hey, stupid! They're gonna come out
Yeah, you
anyways.
are. You're
They're
supporting- I
gonna
think it's
leave
very
the prison,
sus.
stupid.
Pro-child
And then
rape.
what's
We should
step 2?
investigate you now, man.
What
I
is
mean, you
step
probably
2?
got,
You
like,
fucking
children under your-
mongoloid.
Let me ask you a question. Let me
Fucking
ask
mouth
you a
breather.
question,
What is
chat.
step 2? They go
Yeah.
to prison,
Hold on,
and then
hold on,
what?
hold on.
And then
Okay.
what?
Okay, I'm just curious. Let's do another chat poll.
He's
Chat, we
conceding
have
that
yes-
point. He's
we have
conceding.
Incredible.
stickers and no stickers. Would you be surprised if you saw a mugshot of Mullet Guy that said
my
he was a
God.
child rapist? Yes or
I would
no?
not, dude. I think we should.
It's usually a
investigate him now.
Wouldn't
self-report.
be
The-
surprised.
That's usually
I wouldn't be
self-report.
The
surprised.
conservatives who whine
I
about
wouldn't
this
be
bullshit
surprised.
are always the one who's get clapped for it, bro.
100%
You guys are
projection.
always the self-reporters with this bullshit. You're the ones who fucking talk about pedophiles all the time and then they get
Anime
busted
avatar
for it.
having ass.
Literally every time. Shut up with the self-reporting. Jesus Christ. There's projection and then there's projection
You
like
guys are the
this,
ones
bro.
celebrating anal
Lolicon
sex.
avatar.
What about- what about
being realistic that most sentences aren't for life? We're the ones being realistic about
Yeah,
the
what are
real
you gonna do after this
politics.
stream Mythic Politics? Jerk off to some My Little Pony? I mean, you're a sicko, man. You look just like
Some of them ponies are pretty hot. Some of them ponies are pretty hot. Not gonna lie.
Wow, you heard it here
Twilight
first.
Sparkle.
They make them. They make them
Yeah.
kind of
Mm.
thick. They make them kind of
That's right,
thick.
baby.
What
One
a
of them kinda
man.
looks like you.
What a
One of them
man
kinda looks
this
like you in
guy
person.
myself.
Yeah.
You should
One of
be
them
in
looks kinda
prison.
looks like
you
you.
should be jailed for being retarded.
You should be in the
You should be
gulag. You
enslaved
should be in
for
the
being
gulag.
retarded.
You should be in the gulag.
enslaved,
No
breaking
questions.
rock,
No
break
questions
rocks
whatsoever.
until
Just
you die.
straight to the gulag.
Break
You're so
rocks
right. I
until
should
you
be in the
die,
gulag.
dude.
I'm just like such a threat to the republic and to you
Yeah,
guys.
you could
that,
literally
like,
put
you
your
know,
dick like
Oh,
like
true.
You can't have me in
into
society.
like the silky,
Ungovernable.
cummy pony.
Silky.
Yeah,
Never
probably.
forget when Carson exposed and took
No,
down
I bet-
the
I bet-
child rapist.
Yo, they're
on Cozy
those
TV.
booties are so
I'm
fucking
politically
thicky
pro.
though. Like if you really
Never
like look
forget.
at them, like you see like all of these different colors that they have, like how thick
Where's
those
this
fucking
going?
legs are. Like My Little Pony, you can fuck these things for sure, dude.
My Little Pony. You're
Yeah,
making
it's
me
like
like,
no,
Wait,
it's like
what?
it's
What?
like your own little
What
personal
the fuck?
pocket.
Do you
pussy.
think that My Little
It's like-
Ponies?
Are you
Wait,
kidding
hold
me?
It's
on,
like your own
you
little
guys,
personal
explore
pocket.
this.
pussy.
Like,
Let's explore this. Let's explore this. How much are My Little Ponies built
Oh
by
my God,
prison labor?
shut up.
Are
Shut
My
up,
Little
shut up,
Ponies
shut
built
up,
by
shut up,
prison
shut up,
labor?
Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up.
Prison labor, My Little
All right,
Ponies.
we're gonna go to Carson and Myth and then Mythic. You think you,
Wait,
you think you can hold on?
I don't have any.
All right,
I don't have anything. I think we've
What the
run out of
hell?
steam.
Every all
He
6 of
looks
you
like
guys are
he's a
talking at the
fucking
same time, and
pedophile.
then
That was right.
we're gonna.
You look like that every time they
Wait,
fucking nail a pedophile. They look like your weird ass. You're all fucking looking like a fucking ventriloquist dummy ass.
You
You
look
look like a
normal.
Mormon
You look
ventriloquist
normal.
dummy. You
You
fucking
look
nerd.
insane.
You
You look
fucking
like he's
L nerd.
molested
You
her,
fucking
man.
L
That's
nerd.
not good.
You
Now they all talk again. They
look
didn't-
like a
none of them had anything to
ventriloquist
say. No, they all-
fucking Mormon dummy. You want to be a little. You want to be a real boy, but you cannot. You
Are
want to
you
be a real
singing?
boy, but you
What
cannot.
are you even
Are you
saying?
singing?
You're like a shovelhead. We should send you to the coal mines, obviously. You could like literally just like shovel coal with your
You mean
head.
shovel
this
head
guy-
like
this
that?
guy- this guy goes straight to fucking youth group after this.
Sounds like a good workout.
This guy goes straight to fucking youth group after this.
I think that.
Oh my
hey,
God.
hold on. I think this guy's talking about the mines all the time because he's into miners. I figured it out.
Oh, that's
Oh,
I knew it. I knew it was onto something.
Another self-report.
Okay, shut up.
It's still playing that Mein Kampf though, you know?
What?
What do you say?
You play Mein Kampf?
What?
You play any Mein Kampf? You seem like you
Is
play
this another
Mein Kampf.
minor thing?
Did you ever play mine?
I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Can't help
You don't know
yourself.
what Mein Kampf is?
Is that what you're
I'm
into?
sure you're
Oh, is that
familiar
back
with
there?
it,
Is
but
that on your
why don't you
bookshelf?
Explain it to me.
Is that on your bookshelf right there?
Who was talking about
today,
fucking
man.
My
I don't know
Little
what you're
Ponies?
talking about.
Wait,
Oh, I
hold on.
was. No. I was
You were
talking.
talking
No,
about how it's based.
no, I was talking about fucking My Little Pony.
Mythic,
No, that
shut
was
up,
me.
shut up. Wait,
We're
wait,
not-
let
Yeah,
Mythic
we're
talk.
not letting this go. We need to dig into this.
Yeah, can we? No,
Yeah,
all
mine-
I'm,
oh,
all
so
I'm,
you wanna-
all I'm
you
saying
wanna
is
dig into it, work in the
those
mines.
thick, stubby little legs like have something deep inside of them for sure. Like there's a place to go, you know. So you might as well fucking check it out. I don't know. That's my point.
You're a
Okay.
sicko.
You're a sicko, dude.
Like, dude.
You're a sicko. I'm sorry. What did you do to that? Where on the My
No,
Little
you-
Pony?
you- so
doll?
you-
have
first you
one
take-
around to show us?
No. First, yeah. So like you take your dick, you kind of whack it off a little bit until you get
No,
it hard
no.
enough to
We're
like.
not doing.
I didn't think that. Wait. So, wait. You know how this works, right?
Helicopter, get all the blood flowing.
You know how this
We're
works.
not tolerating
It's
that
not
kind of
rocket
party.
science. You put your dick in the My Little Pony. That's
No.
it.
No.
And then,
This is hey.
What the fuck
never
are you
forget.
confused about?
Never forget, chat. These are the types of humans
Never
that want you
forget.
to not
Never
have,
forget the
have
projection.
child rapists.
Never
Never
forget
forget the
7-Eleven.
projection. You
The types of-
look. You
same
can.
types of
Yes.
Mythic.
These are the people that put fill in the blank bad crime. They think that they shouldn't be fucking Robloxed. Yeah,
Hold
bro.
on.
The reality is people
the
come
kind
out of
of-
prison, bro.
The same people.
Why are
the
you
same
doing?
people
Do you
that
have so
don't
much
want you to
contempt for your
enslave
audience?
child
You have
rapists.
so much contempt for
They
your
wanna
audience. You're
fuck
doing
My
these
Little Pony
weird.
dolls.
You're going for talking points. Shut up. This isn't a. What are you? Are you doing fucking headlines for Ben Shabibo's fucking website? What are we doing right now? Do you have so much contempt for your audience? that
Ben
you,
Shabibo, you mean?
what are you doing?
Oh, come
What are you
on,
doing?
Man. You
Well,
got
Can
Ben
you believe
Shapiro
these
works at
guys
Yahoo.
fill in the
That's
blank
more
crime
like a
support
Blaze
this?
TV guy.
Like, get out of here, bro. Like, obviously not. What do you do when they get out of prison? I've not heard an answer to this. What do you do when these motherfuckers come
well,
out?
the child rapists shouldn't get out of prison.
They're
What about
going
Well, they're
to.
going to.
They're
They
going
shouldn't.
to.
We're talking about changing
to.
laws, aren't we?
They do. They get out. The fucking.
You guys are just too busy fucking children to understand the
God,
logic.
shut up.
Yeah.
Fucking My Little
those
Pony.
lists,
My
Pony.
the
the
neighborhood
pony.
listings.
Out of prison.
Shh. Those neighborhood listings wouldn't exist
Don't you
if they
shush
didn't.
me, are
If they didn't get out, they do get out. They do get out. What then?
I can see because you're here now.
Okay, so
And
they
also,
get out.
as
So
with
they get
you.
out.
so what happens
And are
whenever they
you.
get out?
So what are we gonna do with Mythic?
And I
What
noticed
do we
you're
do?
not turning your cam on, so we can't see if you're violating that 1,000 feet within a schoolyard thing.
What?
Yeah, he's
What?
streaming from a school library
Yeah,
right
who
now.
knows where he's at?
Says the people
your cam
talking
on.
about fucking My
Turn your
Little Pony
turn your
dolls.
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
camera on. I'm gonna compare it to the fucking posters of the fucking post office.
Yeah, right. Not
Okay.
me. No way. Nice try. They
Who
always
knows?
try with me.
Who
you know?
knows?
They always try. Some people know.
So
some
this has happened to you
Not many
before?
Yeah, like
People
is
have
this
tried
like
to
a
make sure you're on a
reoccurrence?
registry?
Yeah, every time I interact with these leftists.
Every time I talk to my neighbors,
Why
they
is
keep
it every
asking
time
me.
you interact with the
Balls and
leftists,
kids
you're, whether or not you're on
They're
a
trying to
registry
get
comes up.
children, like child rapists,
You
off and
kept
like
on.
back in
You kept
society.
trying to inject pedophilia into the conversation. You love the
You're
talking
talking
point.
about
You kept on
prisoners.
injecting it.
Prisoners.
You kept
trying to
injecting
You guys
it
are
into the
always thinking
conversation.
about hate
It's
fucking.
the
What is
only
wrong
crime
with
that you
you?
care about
Hey,
because
hey.
it's the word is bad, and so you're injecting into the situation.
No,
What
that
about the
thing
fucking
is bad.
99? What about the
Bad fucking
99% of
myth.
crime that isn't that? What about the 99.9% of crime that isn't that? Can we talk about that?
Okay,
Can we talk about that? Do you not give a
Alright.
fuck about that? I thought you were traditional. I thought you had virtues, values. What are we talking about?
Yeah, what about
You
the
know-
Beeble, dude?
It's funny because you're the same type of people that like when you talk about abortions, you'll be like, "But what about rape?"
He's
And
gonna
that's, like,
concede
less
that point
than
again.
1%
He's
of
gonna
it.
concede that point again.
He's just not going to
They
answer.
literally
It's just
don't
an
have a
NPC.
fucking. They literally don't have an. So like,
dialogue tree to operate
so
off
you just
of.
don't believe in rehabilitation, just flat out.
For
You don't
child
think-
rapists, no.
No, for
What
anyone.
about everybody
But
else?
they're
For
going
some
to get
people, maybe.
out.
For some people, they
Well,
shouldn't though. They shouldn't. We're
They're
talking about
going
changing
to
laws.
get out.
Change the laws so that they never get out ever. Then they're slaves for the
Okay.
rest. Of their
Okay,
life.
so
That's
what
a
would be the
position.
recidivism
What
for
about
these child rapists
What about
that
the
are
other
going to get out?
99.9%? Okay.
If they're
okay.
caught smoking weed, maybe not slavery, right? But and maybe rehabilitation or whatever. But if they're fucking kids, slave
So
for
almost,
life.
so like almost like
Okay.
you're saying the majority of the people inside of prison should be getting rehabilitation and not, subjected
what?
to slave labor. Is that what you're saying?
No.
The majority of people in
probably-
prison are not child rapists. I don't know if you know that. So you are, in fact. So who do you think should be rehabilitated?
I mean, again, I don't think it should be like a full-time, like minimum wage job with like.
Well,
benefits
everyone
and
but
duties
child
and all
rapists,
that.
right? So like child rapists, we can put aside like fuck
Even
those
for
people.
those people, it's not like a guaranteed free job.
So like
what-
everyone
No,
that's
big
not a child
tech.
rapist, right?
go.
So like everyone that's not a child rapist. So most
Really
people.
quick,
Hold on, we have a
really quick,
new
hold on.
addition.
Quiet for 2 seconds. Big Tech. So they are all streaming on Twitch. So just no F slur, no T slur, and no N bombs. That should kind of
Big Tech. I'm a big fan, man. I'm a big fan of Big Tech.
Thanks,
Yo,
Carson. I just
big
found out
tech.
about you the other day, but you seem really cool.
We are big
Thanks,
tech
man.
respecters. Good to see
Thanks,
you, man.
Mio. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So welcome.
I watched for 11 seconds right before I came in, and it looked kind of chaotic. Somebody
Yeah, a
want
little
to catch me up? I mean,
Yeah.
thanks for letting me
So-
crash the party, but what's going on?
Basically, they want things to be better for child rapists.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
he's nervous. He's
We were
nervous.
talking about
let's hear it. Let's hear it from there. Give me a real.
You want
give me
the
a
real
real one.
Okay, here's the deal. There's the exemption of the 13th Amendment allowed for private companies, private prisons to put people to work for with little to no pay. That got changed over the years, and is it virtuous? Is it in line with your values to allow prisons to put people into indentured servitude? That's it. Should prisons have slave labor? And it's private corporations who are largely profiting from this. Companies like JCPenney, Victoria's Secret, Raytheon, Whole Foods, $40 million in agriculture, I think, in the last between 2018 and 2021, $40 million. And that's by paying people like 17 cents an hour. So that's a lot of fucking labor that they're getting.
Okay, so I hear two separate questions in here. One of them, is it morally wrong or without virtue to allow indentured servitude? And the other question is it okay for private corporations who are profit motive driven, like such and such as you listed, is it okay for them to be behind the steering wheel of this prison labor situation?
Those are one and the same, though. That's who's doing the prison labor.
So, but the separation is, generally speaking, is it morally wrong for the thing itself to exist? And then we're examining the current state of how the thing exists. That's a separate question.
I think, and my position is both are bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fuck,
I would say that.
Fuck corporations and fuck slavery.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not a big fan of corporations as they exist now, primarily because, if I have the floor to just go ahead and give my take, I just got here.
Yeah.
The corporate structure as it exists now, I mean, it's morphed itself into just like this greedy machine, right? A corporation in general is just the concept of cooperation. We're just talking about people cooperating in order to make something happen, but more effectively than an individual can do on their own. So cooperation among humans is fantastic. And corporate movement, corporation, corpus, meaning like a body. So it's many people creating one body in motion. So we're just talking about cooperation and unified activity. That's all good. However, in the current era, current year, current state of things, it's become a way for legal loopholes to happen, for corruption to be hidden, for undue amount of influence to be wielded. All sorts of problems are existing in the current corporate structures. So there's a lot of reformation that needs to take place. So again, fundamentally, a corporation isn't a problem in general, but current state, we have a lot of corruption. So that needs to be rectified. I would say basically the same thing goes, in my opinion, toward the indentured servitude. When someone commits a crime, especially if it's a costly crime, including the cost of incarcerating the person, that's a cost that they're inflicting upon us, the upholders of the law. So those who are keeping the law and upholding the law, we have others who are breaking the law and inflicting a cost upon us. So now you've broken the law, you've broken a bond, you've broken your word with us, so you're in violation. And you also inflicted a cost upon us to now rectify the situation that you yourself have caused. So now you owe us because you inflicted a cost that wasn't due to us. It was due to your negligence.
Yeah, can I ask you a question?
He's giving his position.
If you'll allow me to finish my position for just a second,
Absolutely.
I'd love to hear the question.
Yeah.
So you now owe us because you broke the law. You've inflicted a cost upon us, even just for the fact that we have to incarcerate you, let alone the damages that you created in the crime that you committed. Let's say you did a theft, you ran from the cops had to chase you down, there was a trial that was expensive, all these things, these are costs upon us. So now you're just like draining resource from the Commonwealth. You owe us for that. So I'm going to put your ass to work while I got you locked up to pay for your crime, to pay the penalty that's been assigned to that type of law breaking. That's how I feel about it.
Prison labor doesn't pay for that, though. The prison labor doesn't pay for that, though.
So this part of my argument is that in general, the idea of indentured servitude, a debtor's prison, morally justifiable. In current state of things, where they're working for JCPenney or whatever, working for the profit of some, whatever corporation,
Whole Foods, Victoria's Secret, JCPenney's,
That's a
Raytheon.
whole other thing. So now we have private prisons that are making deals with private institutions and just farming people out who are just in a compromised position of they're captured. They're a captured labor market. They're being used and exploited for the profit of some sort of CEO or shareholder situation.
And it undermines our position to collectively bargain for wages, or just to choose to compete in the marketplace against people who are working for free effectively.
That's actually not a bad point.
Wait, so did you want to like are you still?
Yeah, you got a question?
I do. Go ahead. Okay, so like I get your point here that like people are indebted to social institutions, right? Not to corporations that are actually profiting off of this labor, right? I'm not like misleading your point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So like if that is the case, not only are they indebted to these social institutions, right? But they would also be indebted to the actual harm that's being caused by being pulled out of the market as well, right? So like
indeed,
so like one of the big things that you would have to do
expand
is
on that point.
So one of the big things that you would have to do is make sure that these people while covering these like social costs can actually re-enter the economy, be able to have a job that when they come out, be able to reduce the recidivism rate, and be able to help the families and the communities as they get out, right? So like this would
the world I want has that in it 100%.
Yeah, so this would mean labor rights for people in prison. This would mean paying them a fair wage, right?
How does paying them a fair wage equal preparing them to re-enter the workforce?
Because you have to re-enter the economy. It
costs money to exist when you get out of prison.
Yeah, exactly.
There's going to be rent. You need a car. You need money to operate in the financialized system.
Outside of prison, like need monies, and that helps it because you're cutting people's income in half in a household.
Yeah,
true.
But you agree with that?
How
right?
is a man going to be a man and provide if he's fucking arbitrarily plucked out of society? What about his family? What about his children? Shouldn't he be able to provide from the inside and cart that money off to his family?
These are good questions.
Yeah, so like
these are good questions. So
and that would reduce recidivism too, right? Because then they're not going to be in the position where they have to commit other crimes in order to, if for various reasons. One, because like when you're poor, one of the best ways to make money is by breaking the law. But also like on the more extreme end, if you don't have any way to like build yourself up in society, you're gonna end up homeless. And the easiest way to solve the problems of homelessness is to get arrested so that you have a place to sleep, right? So like there's a lot of economic problems of poverty leading to people being put in prison. So it seems like if we have this like indebtedness to the social society, we're going to have like social welfare and being able to have better conditions for the poor, and that includes people that are exiting prison. So like these people might as well be able to leave prison with a way to enter the workforce, to take care of their bills, get a place to rent, re-enter society, so they don't feel backed into a corner anymore, and that they feel they can actually
you're
like
have
a
so that
they feel like they can actually have like
a
a valuable contribution to society. If you don't feel like it's possible to have a valuable contribution to society, then yeah, the recidivism rate is probably going to go up.
You know what, dude? Like, but look, we shouldn't be like.
Has to say, and I have a response.
Look, we just shouldn't, you're saying that we should go and like have no consequences for crimes. Let's just send them to summer camp.
In prison.
Make it like $0. Give them like $100,000.
They're cut off from society.
It's important to have a criminal justice system that also punishes people and shows them that they have consequences for their actions, what they do. Like I'm from a family that had one of my parents went to prison. It affects the family, and the family deserves justice as well. Gives them a clean start, a new start for them to be able to start something new. So like you're trying to make it so compassionate for the people who are breaking the law and affecting the people in their community. And I don't think that's the way to go at all. I don't think that's why the justice system
it's about
exists.
their families and the economy, right? If you want to focus on that, the best thing for their families and the economy and their community, so that these problems don't happen, which puts the rest of society at better odds and at safer conditions, is to actually treat these people like human beings so that they can re-enter society. If you don't have that, it's the same question as before that you guys kept refusing to answer, of like, what do you do for the people that exit prison? Like, what kind of situation do you want them to be in?
You're putting society at a disservice if you just fucking release people who've been institutionalized and turned into fucking career convicts just into the city or back into the community. You're doing them the community harm by releasing them, which is inevitably going to happen unless they have a life sentence, which is the overwhelming minority of people. Most people get released from prison, and if they're trained killers who've been learned to fucking stay alive through a very criminalized prison existence, they're going to be dangerous when they get out, and it's going to be expensive. Not only was it expensive to house them, it's going to be expensive to reincarcerate them, retry them, do the whole thing, the whole rigmarole again, just to incarcerate them again, and inevitably they'll probably get released a second time. So why don't we just go ahead and cut to the chase and throw money in education and throw money in rehabilitation programs to stop the hemorrhaging of people being worsened in these institutions.
Okay, what I'm thinking about right now is that unfortunately there's an issue with the framing of this debate, and I want to just address that. The issue to me is that what we essentially are doing, like the analogy would be, why don't we throw money, like what type of Band-Aid can we put on this tire that has a puncture in the sidewall so that we can keep going down the road?
It's more expensive to do it right now.
What's the system that we can set up to where, like, when one Band-Aid rips off, we put another one on immediately, or like a piece of duct tape over and over, so that we can keep going down the road, because we got to keep going down the road for whatever it takes. We got to figure out what type of duct tape can we engineer to cover this thing. There's a pulling over to the side of the road, removing the tire, replace it with a spare, get to the tire shop, get a new tire. There's a whole other type of process that's required, and we're talking about like this weird duct tape solution. And what I mean by that analogy, that metaphor, is that what we currently have is a state of the world, a state of society where there's a type of people that exist among us that we've cultivated by the way that we live. And it's feeding into this incarceration system, like this pipeline into prison. So we have massive amounts of incarceration, massive amounts of criminality, massive amounts of lack of employment, lack of initiative, lack of literally spirituality, lack of morality. All of these things that are leading into, we are in a degenerated state of culture and society. And what we want is a civilization.
Are you about to make an argument for like people being more spiritual? Is that what you're about to do?
Dude,
No,
just let
I'm
him
not.
finish, man.
So what I'm arguing for is that we are more civilized. And so so what I would say is,
What
like,
does that mean?
what I would say is, like, the things that you're asking for, they're not nonsensical. It's like, yeah, let's have a system that works better to where when people come out of prison, if someone ends up in there, when they come out, let's have it to where they come out in a graceful way.
Then
That
what
makes
you're
total
arguing for is a
sense.
rehabilitation first policy.
What I'm talking about is, let's rehabilitate. What I want is to be in a society and in a civilization that has been rehabilitated, where there aren't so many people going in prison and there aren't so many issues coming out of prison in the first place. So the type of things that I'm interested in, it's like, you fix the problem not after the guy becomes a criminal and goes to prison. You fix the problem when the guy's young, and so he doesn't become a criminal.
Well, yeah,
You're exactly right.
Yeah,
You're
you do those
exactly
things
right.
at the same time.
Education is the panacea. Education is the panacea, 100%. And this is a stopgap measure. Also, Carter, I don't know if you're aware of Carter. Carter wants to hop on the panel as well. He's in the Discord right now.
We've never had more education than we do right now. People are still committing crimes.
That is not
the solution
true.
to this material obsession with everything with wealth, and like, because you guys were talking about, like, what do we do when we get people out of prison and whatnot, and it's like, you know, the solution to material obsession is not more material obsession. Throw money at it. You know, these people, our culture is void of God and a connection to our spirit. So like, that's honestly the root of the problem. And if you're talking about that with education, I totally agree with that.
Theology doesn't prevent criminality.
It sounds like
Where-
you have
what do you
somebody
say
who's
that
like a
for?
real anti-fan of God, and I understand.
No,
that.
I'm talking about policy. I'm talking about
Irrespective
policies
of
that
whatever you
things.
call it, irrespective of whatever the fountainhead of your morals is, I think most of us can agree that this system is immoral, and it's taking people for arbitrary
Yes.
reasons, locking them up, and it's making them ill fit for society upon their inevitable reintegration to it. So we need to, like he said, talk about the prescriptions of how we can stop it. And then there is a stopgap measure to the people who need extra attention.
Yeah,
through whoever their brain is. Go ahead.
A little pushback. It's a second time I've noticed. I've heard you say that phrase that we're locking them up for arbitrary reasons.
Yes.
Do you not think that there's any unjust laws?
That's not what I'm saying. But I would say that not all criminals are being locked up arbitrarily. And I don't mean to do a not all on you, but let's not just throw out, we want to lock up criminals.
I agree.
We want the criminals to pay. We want to separate them from the law-abiding citizens. It's not arbitrary to do that. I just wanted to clear that up.
I do not empathize as much with violent criminals. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. But but the majority of people in prison are there for like smoking weed and violating probation and stuff like that.
Okay, well, I don't want people to violate probation, and I don't want people to be proliferating narcotics. I don't want that. So, so I don't know if I call it arbitrary, but also, like, again, that's another issue that starts, like, the pipeline to that problem. The leak is further up the pipe. So I would say, like, as a compromise, this is what I want to tell you that I want, like, what I'm hearing you say is there's a lot of things that have to do with fairness and justice and gracefulness in our civilization. That's the way it sounds to me.
Okay,
that makes sense.
So,
Brittany, do you want to drive harder in?
If we're going to talk about if we're going to talk about
kid Notkin.
No, fuck off, dude. If we're going
Shut
to
up.
if
Shut up, man.
Stop simping for big tech.
Really had a chance to really talk about.
Yeah, stop simping for big tech. Okay,
you are kind of interrupting me. But
yeah,
their daddy came on, so they're really excited.
Yeah, that's fine. It's fine. Whatever. But like, so I do want to like help drive your point a little bit. Okay. So like this idea of like this is further up the pipeline, and that there's something behind all of this that is not really being said about like what is bringing people into prisons in the first place. If like there's a point historically where that must have happened, right? Because as we've seen historically in the United States, where we have this huge problem with prison with the immense prison population. When did this happen? Like, what were the material conditions that actually that produced the private prison labor in mass like this? Because it seems to be directly aligned with the 13th Amendment, right? Like, it does seem to be that the economy was structured around slavery, and slavery was abolished, and they had to, and the economic dependency. Is part of the reason why the private prison complex became enforced. Like
it was like 68.
Yeah, so there's like a huge history of this, right? But like, so if you want to say that it's like a spiritual problem, how does the spiritual problem in society relate to this shift from slave labor to private prison labor? Like, where does it interject in there historically?
I just wanted to pull up so I could be precise. It looks like it was 1865, 13th Amendment. So did we have a massive problem in the prison population in 1875 or 85 or 95? Like when did this emerge?
Well, in 1865, they freed the slaves, and then under the exemption of the 13th Amendment, they started arbitrarily started illegalizing normal behavior from black people as part of like the Black Code, Jim Crow laws, and other stuff. Other local legislation allowed them to sort of remove inconvenient now freed people from the population as sort of a stopgap measure to actually.
Yeah, you guys keep talking. I was listening.
Let me fix this then. Hello. Oh shit! I'm moving things.
So this is all the fallout of the War of Northern Aggression, essentially.
Real.
Right?
All right.
Based and true.
God.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these laws were passed as a way for the South to kind of reintroduce their market dependencies on slavery, but in the form of private prisons. So yeah, it is directly
after the South was invaded and raided. And
no, I just want to know.
That's right.
Yeah, no, that's tight as fuck. Whatever. But like,
them.
I want to know where the spiritual connection like comes into this. Are you saying that the spiritual connection comes into like the violation of the South not being able to own slaves? Like where does it come in?
So to be clear, Big Tech, you don't have an issue with the unpaid slave component of this, since you apparently didn't have an issue with the slavery in the South.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me.
Okay.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
Simple as.
What it's about is, I mean, look, there's going to be, it seems like maybe there's a pendulum issue, right? Something like the Civil War happened. There was a winner and a loser. and then the loser maybe. Were they coping with this passing of the 13th? And it's like, all right, well, we lost everything, but we can kind of like get a little control back through this legal maneuver, and we can basically recapture some of the slaves that were stolen from us. And then that's like snowballed into the position that we currently have now. Is that essentially how you're framing it?
In broad strokes,
that's what happened.
Yeah.
That's the reality,
okay.
yeah.
And then the pendulum can swing the other way. But there's a lot of things at play, like.
Well, wait, hang on. What way? Where would the pendulum go?
Well, there again. So it's like, I mean,
I'm
not going to say that the South will rise again, but the idea is that
they won't because of the number of neoliberalism and conservatism is done on the South. Yeah, it's the South will rise again in that the tumors will rise from their neck from the cancer alley as a result of all the corporatism, all the capitalism that's going on.
Rise, but
literally, the ocean will rise again.
There's also a misconception that the South was pro-slavery. Only the businesses were. There was a funded militia in the beginning that was paid for directly to catch slaves. It was actually not publicly popular for a lot of it. So
they were economically dependent on it though at the time, and it was terribly burdensome for the
capital owners
that would be forced by Washington.
Dependent on it,
and a lot of the cause for the desire for separation were economic. I mean, it wasn't just we hate Negroes and we want to keep them as our pets. It was
you've got the whole farming South, which is like a specific type of industry. Then you've got the factories and stuff in the North, and you've got those like huge populations, which were like basically it's like San Francisco and New York today, or what LA and New York today, like deciding a lot of policy, having a lot more sway in government than somebody from like Wisconsin or whatever. Those people grew more and more disenfranchised economically because people like where you're from, they don't know anything about farming or care about the people in flyover states or whatever. And this is what the South was feeling. And that's a much larger part than like defending slavery, why the South decided to secede.
It's economic dependency. Like we all know that slavery is part of economic dependency. It's about producing as much as you possibly can with the most surplus as you can. That's always been what slavery is about.
It wasn't just about slavery though. It was like other taxes, other things like that. And again, remember that the American Revolution.
If you're rationalizing the modern slavery. If you're rationalizing the modern slavery on premising it on the fact that they are guilty of a crime and owe a debt to society, how are you rationalizing the existing slavery that we fought the Civil War over? Why is that okay?
You asking Mia?
I'm asking anybody.
Bringing up the debt earlier.
Yeah. No, I'm just simply saying I'm not saying that like the people that were like blacks that were slaves, like committed a crime that they deserve it. It's a different situation for that exact reason. And that's what makes it largely different. That's why the founding fathers like made that distinction or not the founding fathers, but that's why the government made that distinction in the 13th Amendment, is because there is a difference between slavery for punishment and slavery just like because of race. This is actually why most of slavery happened historically, is it was a crime for punishment, either that or it was like prisoners of war. It was like you commit a crime and then it's like you're sentenced to like 10 years of slavery or whatever. And then afterwards you were released and free.
They were prisoners of war when we picked them up. Like they didn't break any of our crimes.
Weren't slaves for life unless they were like slaves because they're prisoners of war, something like that. And it, like,
that's where they got slaves. So like you said that they broke the law, but like not our law. They broke.
Well, no. I mean,
war.
they broke the law of the land wherever they were.
That's not even.
It turns out
that's not even so much of breaking a law.
Everybody everywhere has done slavery.
So everyone fighting a defensive war is breaking the law.
Yo, dude, Mr. Mullet guy, like you keep bringing. You said earlier, like the existing slavery. What existing slavery are you talking about? You're trying to frame this argument in a way that like puts us on like the moral defense. Like we're trying.
You
like,
should.
no,
That's you saying. I'm talking. It's literally specified as fucking slavery. How are you this far into the conversation and you don't understand the basic term? What do you mean? It literally says. It literally says that there's no slavery except
I didn't even hear anything
people
you said
convicted.
you were talking over me, man.
Yeah, but you didn't need to be talking. How are you this far into the conversation?
So I didn't hear anything you said. Now I'm going to do the same to you. So yeah.
I'm a racist.
Yo, let's go.
Let's go. All right. I want to pitch something to kind of steer this.
Hold on. Can I answer that?
Wait.
Can I answer that?
Let big tech talk.
No, shut up, stupid. Look, it's slavery as specified in the 13th Amendment. Slavery is illegal except, for people who are convicted. So why are you arguing against the basic term, which is like the whole premise of this is constitutional? I don't understand what you're saying now. Yes, look, the onus is on you if you're defending this. If you're defending this, the onus is on you to defend why slavery is okay. Yes.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because when you don't have good standing in a gang that can protect you, which is what we call a nation or a tribe, if you don't have a big ass squad, people covering your back, if you don't have something that's going to help you stand up and defend yourself, you are fair game and you are prey to the other ones who have it. Gang warfare, national warfare, army versus army, mano a mano. That's the origin of humanity. It's as natural as anything in the world. It's natural as anything else in the world. There's nothing morally abhorrent about that. And so so it's not a moral issue. It's just a practical issue. It's not immoral.
Nature doesn't matter.
Practical.
I mean, I have a cell phone. That's against nature, right? Nature is out of the argument when it comes to
how is a cell phone against nature?
Okay, because the
idea you'll lose that argument. Don't go
there. Because I can get a gun and shoot someone 10 times bigger than me. That's unnatural, right? If I were to go mano, if I have a fucking gat, okay, he's dead, right? That doesn't make it. There's nothing there. There's no argument about nature because nature is irrelevant in when it comes to
a hominid using a tool in order to commit an act of aggression is totally natural.
But you're making the argument that people deserve, like the system of slavery or anything was just inevitable. Maybe
my point is that it's a natural and an inevitable.
So you're saying human society goes against the laws of nature.
Are you a secular
humanist? We fly to the fucking sky.
You are trying to create a society that goes against the laws of nature.
We already do.
Yeah, we already literally do.
I know you thumb shake right now, but what the fuck?
Hey, let's not get into just being rude for the sake of being rude. We don't need to do that.
You're justifying people being enslaved in our current fucking system. Who's being rude, idiot?
Hey, try to keep up. You don't have to use
I'm right here, dude.
That type of language. But the point is, and I already told you about 15 minutes ago, that the problem is a little bit upstream from where we're trying to address the issue. We're addressing an issue.
The issue is the diversity.
Issue is that we're trying to live in a culture that is against nature, and it's not working out well.
Is it against nature because people are integrated?
That's
not all is against nature.
Is it the integration?
That's your error thinking.
This is such a weird fucking point.
Is it the integration that makes it unnatural? What's the upstream cause of this thing? Would you say it's integration? I'm working back.
Yes.
So the issue is black people exist.
What I was going to propose a minute ago. I'm hearing the things that you want. I think I'm hearing you clearly. I think I'm understanding what you want to get to.
I want to know your actual viewpoint. Yeah.
So I'll offer you, let's say I had the power, like to create the outcome. What I would say is that in order for me to give you what you're asking for, what I need you to allow for me to have is things like a restoration and a reformation of our legal system, institutions, our banking institutions, racial and cultural homogeneity.
There it is.
We got to it finally. It only took 5 fucking minutes. There it is.
I mean, you guys
I don't know why you have to. I don't know why you have to fucking dance around it. I don't know why you have to fucking dance around it.
It's white people in prison too.
It's called white people in prison too, and delivering the most important point last.
Right. It's
dancing around.
It is.
I was trying to get to it, and you kept interrupting me.
No, buddy. You kept calling that shit fucking spirituality. You kept calling that shit spirituality. That's dancing around.
I was ready to say it 15 minutes ago.
Oh, okay, because all three of you guys were wanting to respond to Big Tech. Which one of you guys want to? Mythic, did you want to go?
There's Western Europeans in prison too. So if you're going to premise this as some sort of racially segregation thing or diversity being the issue, how do you account for the harm that's caused to the upstanding man that is being laid low by these unjust laws carried out by scrupulous actors working with as a fifth column within the United States government, in your own view, right? This runaway thing, and then these lawyers and everybody is perpetuating this unjust criminal. The injustice is the criminals are running running the justice system, right? And putting people in prison. How do you account for all the, why aren't you giving the same gratuity for the Western European ideal citizens that are stuck in here and being ill prepared for re-entry into society, minus all the other racial implication, what you said that I disagree with?
Literally what?
There's
Incredible.
white people in prison too.
Great.
There's white people in prison too. People that use the people that you care about. What about them?
I didn't say white people are the only people I care about.
You said homogeneity, right?
Just white Anglo-Saxon
you,
Protestants.
You said that aligning with nature is part of.
so
you need a homogenous,
Listen,
ethnically homogenous nation, right?
What I'm trying to point your attention to is this would be a prerequisite for having a more lawful law and order society that could exist where we don't have so many people being pumped into the prisons.
Yeah, so you're saying that that's part of the problem of why this problem exists in the first place.
Yes.
Which is
what is
Mythic
the moral
is pointing
code? Yeah, what moral code would you use to make a more just society?
Christianity.
Based. Let's go.
We love him.
And you're describing a might mate right. You're describing the tenets of Satanism to enforce a Christian code. Might make right is not a tenet. It's not a tenet of Christianity.
It's an atheist one. It's a Satanist one.
So he's saying that this is fine. This unjust hierarchy is fine because it's derivative of natural
means. Even you guys recognize the problem
let-
that things are worse off right now.
I was making a point.
And as our society's become more secular, more atheist,
Okay.
things have gotten worse. Even you guys acknowledge that. Maybe it's time that we actually introduce a moral framework based on Christianity. Maybe big
it's
tech is
time
right.
that you
Just saying.
came back to God.
Let Mythic go because
haven't
apparently
done
he
that
was
for a
making
long
point. He's
time.
very upset about it. So go ahead, Mythic. Finish your point.
Yeah, so he was basically saying that these hierarchies of the prison industry and the gangs of tribalism, it enforces and it allows, and through natural law, it makes that these are naturally moralistic because they're derivative of natural law, but that's in contravention to the precepts of Christianity, which defines might make right as a like what happened to the meek shall inherit the earth. I don't understand. It seems like your 2 points are in contravention to each other.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
Well, what do you think you mean by the meek shall inherit the earth? What do you think that word meek actually means right there?
I think it means that people that survive the war. I think it means that the people that survive the war will take over. I think it's the allegory.
That word meant. Okay, so here's an interesting little factoid for you, a little history factoid. So in the original translation, what it meant when Jesus said the meek shall inherit the earth, I think it was Aramaic. Maybe it was Hebrew. That was the Sermon on the Mount. But what he was saying was, it was something like the word was something like they who have swords and know how to use them, but choose not to. Right? That's something I've heard several times from different sources.
Words don't mean much of anything.
Like that, where they're
Jesus
competent,
was black.
They're competent. They're people who are able to take up the sword, but they choose not to. Right? It's somebody who is strong and able. It's like the archetype of a strong, capable guy who could kill you, but he chooses not to because he's morally good. It's not a useless, weak pussy, right? That's not who will inherit.
Why'd they use the word
it's
meek?
The type of men who are good, even though they can be dangerous.
So do you think the soy boy Western Europeans who translated this infused their soyedness into the translation against the base Middle Easterners?
Are Christians soy this whole time?
I think Jordan Peterson invented all that meal. I don't think it's real.
You don't think so? What do you think he meant by the meek shall inherit the earth? Do you think it was weak? Because I've heard that from other things too. I've read that in another book before, which was totally unrelated.
I think Christianity is the fulfillment of natural law. So the destiny of humanity is to perfect nature, and the perfect nature of humanity is in law and order.
And you think it's homogeneity
Why were so
that is
many
natural?
Christians dying of
Why would homogeneity be natural?
Let Big Tech finish his point. Hold on, you guys. Let him finish his point. Go ahead.
To say that might makes right is what I'm saying, or that this is Satanism, is I can understand what you're trying to say there, but it's actually literally it's a shadow. It's a 180 inversion of actually what I'm saying.
Because you're drawing.
Because Christianity comes from the might of God. God's law is the origin of the scriptures, of the prophecies, of the fulfillment. It's all about law.
Of the Old Testament
Creator and his law
and Jesus,
are
but you're not
united
calling
in
yourself
one.
a Jew. You're not calling yourself a Jew. You're calling yourself a Christian. And Christians, the Christ's fucking testimony for the world was to turn the other cheek, right? It wasn't. It wasn't for might makes right and whatever. That's the Old Testament. So are you a Jew or are you a Christian? I don't understand.
Hold on. Okay. First of all, the Bible wasn't for Jews. The Bible was for the Israelites. A Jew is a person who resided in Judea. It wasn't Judaism or Jewishness. This is a whole different rabbit hole, but let's address that real quick. The Bible is Christian from Genesis to Revelation. Christianity is the fulfillment of the Hebrew and Israelite prophecy that was passed down through the prophets, through the genealogies, through the kings, and through the fulfillment of the Messiah.
God, this shit's so
Christianity
weird.
is the whole thing. So it's
Fucking
not a
putting me
Jew
to sleep,
Christianity
dude.
Yeah, I know.
distinction.
What the fuck?
Well,
What does this have to do? What does spirituality have to do with homogeneity?
Yeah, what are you saying, kid? Not.
What does this have to do with homogeneity?
You just asked me if I was a Jew or a
what does this have to
Christian,
do with
and I just put that to
homogeneity?
rest, and it took 15 seconds.
What does this
to
have to do with the natural law being about homogeneity
The
of
point
people?
is, and then about the thing about the meek shall inherit the earth and turn the other cheek. This was an admonition being given to people who were brethren. This was to your fellow man. This was to people who you are living in step with. This is how you get along with those who you're getting along with. This wasn't a prescription for how to treat all of your enemies in the world. The admonition is also love and forgive your enemy. But that doesn't mean
people in prison are your enemies.
He didn't say
the people in prison are your enemies.
Allow me to finish. He didn't say have no.
It'll go on for fucking 20 minutes. Like just to make a point.
Well,
like,
no, he
like
didn't
what
say
is
it was
this?
like 40
didn't realize
seconds.
I was
Stop simping and let
It's
him speak for
going to take him a
himself.
lot longer to finish his point if we keep interrupting him.
Chill
So.
out. Literally
Sometimes
chill
40
out for a
seconds seems like 40 minutes.
Deep breaths,
All right.
deep breaths, man.
I think
Okay,
your story's a
but
banger.
look, I'm
Keep going.
arguing. How many atheists am I arguing against here? 5?
Enough.
Only
Yeah,
one would.
so-
You
so-
only need to argue against
I'm
one.
Muslim,
So, do you guys
I'm
all
not-
just want a dog pile, or do you want to actually have a discussion?
Well, I want
I
you
would
to make
like you
a
to
point.
finish your point.
All right.
Well, there you go.
I thought
Let's
we
hear
were
what
going
you
to
got.
dogpile after.
Okay,
I thought we were going to
here's the
dogpile
thing.
after.
This meek shall inherit the earth thing. It's not like people are like, oh, well, turn the other cheek, whatever. Jesus did not say at all that we should just like remain quiet and accept injustices taking place in the world and what like this stuff. He was assertive about that. He would actively and aggressively like tell people that's not okay, especially when it came to corruption in the church. Everybody always, we know he was like flipping over tables and like whipping people and
base
running them out and whatnot. So that's like it's not at all just like when Jesus like was telling his disciples to go into other cities, he told them like go and buy a sword because I have a lot of enemies. There was, he was not just like everybody should just accept whatever happens to them and none of it matters. And again, it's like the Christianity is the fulfillment. Christ is the fulfillment of all of the prophecies from the Old Testament. It goes what God, Moses, Jesus, Christians. That's the progression.
Look, Jesus is super base. Him washing all the feet washing in the Bible is an allegory for sex, which means that the male on male contact in the Bible is very real, very erotic, very hot.
Yeah,
also,
no,
he
all
was,
you
he
care
was a
about is
communist.
whatever
He was a
Jesus
black
does
man,
for
and if you
political
actually
use
follow
him
the
as a
tenets of
prop. Like,
Christianity, if you actually follow the tenets of Christianity, you would be against private prison labor. You would be against this. But you're not
again,
actually.
we've
wanna
all
pick
said
and
we're
choose.
opposed to private prisons. So like that's not what we're for. That's not. But you're just misrepresenting us completely.
That is the
No,
reality,
buddy.
You're saying it would be fine, but the reality is, let's just say prison labor. You're for the fucking unpaid slave-like prison labor.
Yeah, dude.
And you would
literally,
not be. You would not be if you actually adhered to the tenets of Christianity.
I want to put
let
you in
the
prison
thief
and
no
make
longer
you
steal.
work.
Let him go and work, and so he can share to society. That's what it says in the Bible.
Yeah, but you sharing
So like,
what
don't
corporations?
lecture me on the Bible, you fucking atheist.
What you don't even know what you fucking you don't even know what type of labor would actually contribute to society instead of a person.
I want to
watch you.
Atheism destroyed.
Okay.
First off, here's the thing.
Can your audio get
Hold
worse?
on.
Can
You
your
all
audio
sound
get
the
worse?
same, and you look the exact same.
If I could make a point real quick.
Okay.
First off, like Jesus lived in a time when slavery was a normal, regular thing that happened. Like I said, it did not just like racial-based slavery forever or whatever, but slavery as a punishment for a crime and whatnot. And Jesus
Are you
actually
saying Jesus
gave a
said slavery
direct
is
message.
pog?
he directly gave messages to slaves. Yeah, he spoke to slaves and gave them messages, just like fathers, sons, daughters, wives, all of that. Like a lot of
all the
people
like
in
family unit
society
and stuff.
had a message for.
Wait, why do you think he did that?
I mean, he had a message for everyone as to how they should act and what their heart should be.
And their message
That
was
doesn't
to
mean that he advocated for slavery
in their role in society. And again,
you just said
I'm not saying he was pro slavery or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, again, that was it was a part of the punitive system, and Jesus himself wasn't out like this is like the greatest moral injustice that must be addressed. He talked about other things. And then one last point is you talked about like what you're saying.
He said other things.
Well,
the
yeah,
fuck
he
are you
talked about
talking
other
about,
things
dude?
which were much more important. I forget. I'm talking
he has
to people
points.
like who
He has
haven't
points
read
that
the
like I
Bible
won't get into, but like they're probably a lot better than slavery.
Yeah. Jesus said
fuck
a
are you
lot
talking
of
about,
important
dude?
things, and he didn't talk about
A lot
prison
of
slave
important
labor.
things.
Sorry,
The
like
fuck does
I
that
know
have
you
to do
haven't
with
read
this?
the Bible, but he said a lot of really important things. If you want to make this whole stream about that, I'm happy to read.
No, I don't. It's you guys that want to talk about fucking Jesus for like 30,
There's a
40
lot
minutes.
of other
to talk
things
about Christ.
Yeah, no one gives a shit about
you guys are the
Jesus
ones who
here.
were talking about how this is like from our Christian worldview, we should be categorically against
No one gives
it.
a shit about
And
Jesus
Christ
here.
himself wasn't categorically against it, like as a punishment for crime. He spoke to slaves who were being punished for crimes and told them what their hearts should be geared towards and how they should be. Now, he also spoke to masters and talked about how they should be and how they should treat their slaves and how they should be and whatnot. And again, not
What's the fucking
advocating
point?
for it, working within the system he was in. He talked to people like what their hearts should be. I mean, your question was about like in our Christian worldview, how do we like deal with the fact that slavery exists? And it's like there's your answer. Jesus Christ himself incorporated it into his entire message. He's not
incorporated his message, but he didn't advocate for it.
Yeah,
he was just talking to all oppressed peoples. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, bro. Then that doesn't make any sense. Pedophilia was a part of your argument. It doesn't mean you endorse it. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, absolutely, he wasn't endorsing it. But again, it's still like you're like, how do you incorporate this into your worldview, into your message? And it's just like this is something that Christ himself wasn't like. Just this is like having somebody work as punishment for a crime is categorically evil.
Jesus? So, but I mean, just because you're aware of something doesn't mean that you morally support it or think it's good. Yeah,
I'm specifically saying he didn't support.
No, but that was the argument, right? Is Jesus supported slavery or whatever? Anything like that?
It's the opposite of what I said. You just have the small brain and you're retarded.
No. I'm making you. The point was right.
That's the opposite of what I just said. So you're not making any point that I said.
Let's hear what Carter is.
Yeah, the only point I'm trying to make is we just pointed out that like within the framework of Jesus or whatever, the Bible, that there was like slavery and somehow that makes it okay in today or whatever. I don't know, whatever wraparound shit. I don't know.
You said Jesus said other things too.
Yeah, Jesus said other things.
Other things.
And those
yeah,
other things, if I have to
say
remember,
other things.
Jesus's other things were slavery isn't cool. But I'm just guessing. Like,
I think
don't
Jesus
know.
specifically said, I don't remember the verse, but I think he said that the 13th Amendment should probably be fixed in.
So
in
I guess
years.
I do have a question so for big tech, because you said homogeneity and other things. So is Christianity the only civilized culture? Like I'm just trying to understand.
No, it's the one that the question was, what's my proposal? And
yeah, well, your proposal was around like homogeneity and like what you thought might make a better thing.
What would be the moral homogeneity that I'd be looking for?
Do you think like? So you think that Christianity?
I think it's the best one. It's the right one. It's the best one because it's the right one.
So out of all the 6,000 Earth religions, that's the one.
Yeah. What about the other 6 billion people who don't like? Are they just wrong?
Not to mention the like 1,000 other sects of Christianity.
100% wrong.
What about during
the cultures have been around a lot longer?
There's no actual. There's no actual
when
like
Christians were dying of dysentery and like the golden age of Islam was literally creating algebra. What happened? Like we couldn't figure out how to wipe our ass in Western Europe.
You know what?
Like,
I have more respect for Muslims than I do for any of you guys on here because you guys just.
Thank you. I appreciate
that.
I'm literally in the middle. What do you mean? I love God.
You probably supported the Muslim ban though, right?
It's not Muslim.
Hell yeah.
You know.
Hell yeah.
But that's only because
it's only because a mullet ban wasn't on the table.
Not critically thinking.
You're just jealous, bro. Don't get mad at me because I got a hairline. Look, how would the prison industry work? How would the prison industry work in your ideal society, Big Tech? Big Tech. How would the prison industry work? How would the prison industry work in your ideal society? towards rehabilitating the people who could be rehabilitated and making them productive members of a Western European white homogenous fucking society. How would that prison industry work?
It'd be run by the military. It'd be run by the military.
Incredible.
And the nation itself. The nation itself would be reliant on citizens who are all military servants. So, in order to become a citizen, you first, as a young man, endure military training and service. You become certified as a citizen after already becoming morally rectified through an upbringing and then a service that certifies
This sounds
you.
homoerotic.
Yes.
It's all like we read Warhammer and we're like, yeah,
it's
that's
a
my
holy,
society.
Yeah.
godly existence where the men are looking after the law and order, literally upholding God's law, protecting the women and children, and raising happy families. Anybody who's violating that, you're literally staring down the barrel of the gun that the military is holding, and you're going to go to a military prison. Probably the labor you're going to do to pay us back for your crime is just do military service.
Good stuff, dude.
I think the bigger point that we're missing right now.
It's fucking
You already
Sparta
talked
tilted.
about that their citizenry would be proven by the fact that they went through military service already. So you're just saying, just go do the thing.
Yeah,
if that was rehabilitative, then why would you do it again? They've already been through boot camp. They've already been through that and didn't rehabilitate them.
Yeah, it's like a second chance.
But wait until what if they decide you're not Christian enough, and then they put your ass in jail? Like that's the problem with this, right?
Then
One
I'd
day
be
you
in
just
pretty big trouble.
You're right. So like, don't you see how that's like kind of a terrible ideal society?
No, it would get
They
rid
could
of
just change
people who
it.
suck. It would get rid of people.
Yeah,
who
but
suck.
what if they decide
Rid
you
of
suck?
how?
That's the whole problem with this. Like it's like
Well,
every
the thing is, I would have to like make sure I don't. Right.
This sounds highly
you
unsustainable.
can't. That's the thing. Because
This sounds
like,
highly
I don't think
unsustainable,
you
dude. I don't know if you
logic,
can.
that's
I don't know if you
why.
can.
You can't. But
I don't know if you
believe
can
in
organize
bro.
a
I bet
society
you
like this.
could.
I'm gonna
I
be
bet you
completely
could.
I think
honest
the
with you.
biggest point that we're missing right now is how drippy CTV is.
Yeah,
that's true.
Hey, CTV, what's going on with the blurry background?
Pretty
You
good.
alive?
I thought he was a JPEG for a second.
He was
You
loading.
on drugs
yeah.
or something?
Am I on what?
Oh, you're
You
like
on
really
drugs?
quiet.
Oh yeah, what the fuck?
I'm really quiet.
Oh, never
Well,
mind.
you
That was
just
from
weren't talking,
the
I
last
think.
Hippy Dippy whenever I muted you and was playing King of the Hill. Never mind.
Oh yeah.
Ah, well, okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
okay,
I
so
feel
against
like
that- go
I
ahead.
feel like that the like if you want to see an example of what big tech is talking about, Starship Troopers, right?
The satirical movie about fascism.
Yeah.
What the
Yeah,
fuck?
Nazi Germany. That's my.
It's a funny,
Wicked.
cartoonish version of it, but
Yeah, it's
Funny
like a-
cartoon.
It's
Yeah,
like-
satire.
It's,
The
Yeah,
one
it's
where
a
they have the
hyperbolic
bugs, one where they're
analogy for
killing the
fascism.
bugs,
Yeah.
the evil invasion of the bugs. That one.
yeah, the
Yeah.
Shut up, man.
bugs,
You're
right?
so great
Yeah.
in politics. We should
Which
mute
we all
you.
know what that's an allegory for, right?
Mulleted
Definitely.
people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Damn
So,
rootless
wait,
cosmopolitan.
But it goes
all
back to
that.
it, right? Like one day they'll decide you're like the whole thing, right? The whole problem
I'm
is
just
one day they'll decide you're
wondering-
not Christian enough.
I'm just wondering when Mythic's head is going to figure out which color of hair it's going to produce.
Seriously?
This guy doesn't even have his headphones in. He doesn't even have his
CTV,
headphones in.
first time he's talking, contributing to the conversation as such. God damn,
Yeah,
where
wow,
would
and he's
we
contributed
be
more than you
without the
because
fucking-
everything
without
you've
the
said
insights
has
of CTV,
deducted
everybody.
brain cells from everybody, man.
He
You are
doesn't even
just-
have his headphones
You
in.
need
It's
more
just once the
knickknacks,
like
Carson.
green
Put more
bars around the
knickknacks on your
cameras
fucking
go
mom's
away, he
bookshelf
just starts
there.
saying
You
things.
need more knickknacks on your mom's bookshelf, bro. It's not enough.
You're doing your stream in a fucking next to a kitchen sink.
Uh-huh,
Like
yeah.
I think we all know who's
What the
losing.
fuck? Do you not have a
Isn't that
kitchen
your
sink?
mom's
What-
kitchen sink though?
I don't
Yeah,
do
I
my
think it
fucking
is. I thought
stream
Carson was in front of a
kitchen
green
sink.
screen, and this
I'm
was
not
just like a
pathetic
thing he
like
found
this dude.
online.
Here, let's get his take
Wait,
on
is he
this
not? Is he
discussion.
not in front of a green screen?
I thought it was a green screen.
What the fuck? Wait,
Let's
he
get
lives
his
like
take
this?
on it.
Here, let me
Wait, is
enhance.
Hit the wall behind you. Let us know that it's real. Pick up one of the
Move one of
books.
those things. Move one of those things.
Yeah, can you
Yeah.
move something
Yeah,
around?
Pick up the
touch
cross.
something.
Pick up the cross, please.
Pick it up.
Who?
Kiss it.
You.
What are you
What are
talking
you?
about?
We're talking to
We're
you,
talking to
dummy.
you.
Touch
You're
something on the
green
shelf.
screen right now.
You're talking to
Yes.
me?
Yes.
Yeah,
let
no
us know
shit.
what you're
Something
doing.
on the shelf.
Every single
Robert
one of you
De Niro
guys
over
sounds
here.
the
Yeah,
exact
pick up a
same. You
knickknack.
look the
Pick up a
exact same.
knickknack.
And
Pick
you
up a
guys are just
knickknack.
NPCs and
knickknack.
Oh, you want us
Pick
to
up the fucking knickknack.
Like,
You
you guys
need
are
to
really
off on it.
pathetic
Just touch
individuals.
the shelf.
Just
Just
show
touch the
us.
shelf.
Just show us so we can
Please.
continue. Why you? Why are you holding us up?
Just touch the shelf, please.
This is great content.
I'm really
guys.
I'm
Yeah,
really
wow,
liking-
incredible. Touch my shelf. Yeah, I don't
Big
think so.
Tech,
I'm not gonna.
Please touch the shelf.
It's a shelf, bro.
Confirmed.
Actually,
It's a fucking green screen.
no
Hold on, 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 hold on. In Big Tech's ideal society, would there also be upstream things that would lead to incarceration? Or would that just be a natural aberration of humankind? Do you think that there's certain people who just violate laws, or do you think that those violations are fomented by inequality or failure to socialize people?
That's a good question. Really good. Like nature versus nurture, right? Like, is it just in our nature that some people, I don't know, like how many people are born just straight psychopaths or whatever, just an anti-authoritarian. They just got the itch. They just can't help it.
Yeah.
Wait, is the world that God created heterogeneous? Like heterogeneous or like homogeneous?
I guess the question,
like the nature that God produced, right? It's a heterogeneous world, right?
Well, I guess the question for me comes down to: do you think that people have a choice in their consciousness, or is there a consciousness and then it is formed by the experiences that you have in life, and that is ultimately what becomes your personality and your character?
Do you just say nature versus nurture again?
And how that informs prison policy, which is what we're talking about.
No, it's deeper than that. CTV's getting into free will versus determinism.
God, you're such a simp.
I love metaphysics.
Yeah, real.
Yeah, these are cool conversations. I actually really like this realm of it a lot.
Here's okay. So the problem with homogeneity, right, or whatever we're talking about, I will go back to this because
the homo part,
it's a good point. Right? Well, yeah, of course, you know me. Is the problem?
There's always one.
There will never be. You will never be good enough if somebody decides it. For example, right? We have lots of examples throughout history, right? Irish people were not considered white for a long period in America. Italian people weren't considered white. Same thing happened throughout. Well, my point. Okay. Well,
I'm not white.
Yeah.
I'm not white.
Obviously.
I mean, I did my DNA. I'm probably like.
How can you have a mullet like that and not be white?
I'm like so incredibly white that I'm surprised you guys can see me. I'm not blending.
I dyed my hair blonde to fit in with you guys.
But,
I thought this would get in the fucking club.
My point is that's arbitrary. The line is arbitrary, right? So you can't base it off on something like that. That line changes. One day, we'll decide that someone who is like, I don't know, they just got too tan one day and we decided to kick them out.
That's just
right?
silly. You're just being silly right
No,
now.
because it happened in history,
You're
right? We have historical evidence.
You're just using made-up words. You're like, oh, well, there's this one social construction which incorporated new groups of people. It doesn't change like the biology of the matter.
No,
like
okay.
The fact that these different
you're misunderstanding the point. The point is,
he's confused.
As an advocator for a society that is homogeneous, right? You use Norway or Sweden or whatever. Like those are usually people like to pick as how their societies function better than ours, right? But in reality, right, those are arbitrary lines. And it's just that those people, like those societies benefited off of cultures that were very, very diverse. For example, the fastest growing cultures in history were usually those where there was mass immigration or trade hubs, or where there was tons of different cultures meeting where they would trade technologies, right? Happens today still. We still have mass amounts of culture influx that will.
The prosperity of a society and of a culture is not based on like the development of like technology, based on bringing.
No, it absolutely is.
Technology is also just a word that literally means anything that is being built that improves society, right? Like an improvement.
Yeah, and I'm saying not the prosperity of a society is not based on material values like that sort of like technology.
So is it what is it then?
Well, I would like to clarify, since you're bringing up a term that I offered into the conversation about homogeneity. And I said racial and cultural, and I said those together. And to me, those go together like if we're talking about like space time. It's kind of one thing. So the reason I'm mentioning it is because it's actually the cultural homogeneity that we're after. Okay. We're after a cultural unity. We're back to the corporate idea. We want to be one body.
Could you define what culture is to you? Like, I mean, it's like kind of like whenever you imagine like the word culture, like what things come up?
The word cult, actually. I mean, that's the first thing that springs to mind.
So do you like China?
Words are hard.
Is China a homogenous culture?
They want you to say food and music.
And Christianity is huge in China, by the way. So
yeah. Is China an example of the homogeneity that you're looking for?
Is China Christian? No.
A lot of them.
What the fuck does homogeneity even mean at that point?
Christians in China.
What the fuck does homogeneity even mean at that point? Like what do you? how are you defining homogeneity? Like,
yeah, diversity.
Also, what are you mentioning about China? Tell me what you mean about China.
I'm just fishing for an ideal society, because that ideal society might live. It might be there for you right now in China. If they're based corporatist command economy, they have a fucking gigantic middle class.
Smug little fuck who's like trying to
shut up, hey, child, shut up. The adults are talking. The adults are talking. Be quiet.
Try to pretend that like they don't know what culture is or something like that.
No, because I don't think he's using the correct
term. Yeah,
it is ambiguous.
So being homogenous isn't the only thing I offered. Also, that's homogeneity.
He's got a lot for us.
Yeah.
No, I gave you the rundown. I said 4 or 5 things, and the last thing I said, you guys spurred out on. Right?
You're right.
I said a grip.
Because that's detrimental to society, right? That's what I believe,
man.
Well, I mean, historically, right? Historically, the moment you start excluding people or anything, it becomes an arbitrary line where people get killed, injustices occur. It's just literally like morally fucking terrible, right? Like
which is kind of the great thing about Christianity is because of Jesus' sacrifice, anybody can come to.
That's kind of the great thing about Christianity is that it's morally bankrupt.
Go off, go off, King.
Yeah, you know.
No, you want to talk about fucking culture, cult personality, cult mind thinking, right? Like in reality,
culture and
yeah, in reality, right? When you consider, like earlier, you guys were talking about Christianity, right? Anybody can come to God. You pick up the Bible, you can then get a sense of what God's trying to communicate to you.
He's right.
Real.
Through the
Some people are too intelligent to believe that.
Yeah. Their stories.
I left the church when I was 12. I was literally too smart at 12 to believe it. Don't tell me you can pick up.
Don't hold up today.
People can't pick up Harry Potter and believe that shit.
Universal, man. And you even acknowledged that. You praised Jesus earlier. And now you're saying, oh, you guys are so dumb for
that doesn't believe I believe in all the fucking supernatural metaphysics of it.
You're trying to
some of the social prescriptions of Jesus.
Oh
my God!
Acknowledge that.
It's so kind of your mother to let you use the computer this long. Number one.
Yeah, so true. So true, man. You're a fucking
Shut the fuck up, bitch.
You probably.
Here's what I'm saying.
How the fuck do you have a bookshelf with 5 books on it?
Here's what I'm saying, stupid. Here's what I'm fucking saying, stupid. Here's the fucking deal. Fucking just because I fucking concede that some of the prescriptions socially of Jesus are fucking kind of based, it doesn't mean I believe in all the supernatural fucking metaphysics that underlie it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how you, as a supposed adult, can fucking believe that.
That means you're retarded, dude. It means like
you just see. Hold on, Mythic, seriously, right? I know you're definitely.
Why are you on fucking Twitch?
Shut
you should be on
up,
Cozy. Why are you not streaming to fucking Cozy CTV? These are your people, CTV. Why are you fucking around? Why are you fucking around on Twitch? Stream on Cozy with your people. What are you doing? This is where your bread is buttered.
Mythic, you would never be invited to Cozy because you're a fucking.
Be invited over.
Why do you have a bookshelf with 5 books?
I bet you I get check mark before you, motherfucker.
Pick up a book. Pick up one of the books.
Was CTV gonna say something, or I like blacked out a little bit? But
I forget.
CTV.
Was that about to happen before?
I feel like CTV's still loading.
Railed again.
It wasn't me.
He's getting all cocky with his blonde hair now.
Program's still buffering.
Some zero viewer Andy's gonna tell me I'm not gonna be invited to Cozy. Get the fuck out of here, bitch. The fuck you know?
He's a Cozy streamer.
He's on Cozy.
That's all right. Then I'm wrong. How about that? Then I'm wrong. I'm objectively I'm empirically incorrect. Let's go. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, talking about me.
Yeah. Yes. Why do you have a bookshelf with only 5 books on it?
Wow, so funny. Guy with mullet who literally looks like a fucking rat.
Is this the guy who looks like a fucking Mormon ventriloquist dummy? The guy who fucking looks like a fucking Mormon ventriloquist dummy? Shut the fuck up.
Wow, a Mormon ventriloquist guy? I'm taking down children on the internet. Incredible.
Whoa, dude. Whoa.
I'm owning him.
Yeah,
fuck you,
literally.
man.
You're doing what with
No, don't pick on me. I'm so young. Don't pick on me. I'm so young. Don't pick on me. I'm so young. I'm so young. I'm so young.
MythicPolitics. I'm talking to you, bitch.
How did you get the pin for the parental guideline? How did you get past the parental pin on the internet access? How did you get past the parental pin on your internet? Do your parents know what you're doing right now? Do they know what you're doing?
Or something?
How are you online right now?
This guy's voice is cracking.
What are you doing?
How am I
It's way past your bedtime.
This guy's voice is cracking.
I'm online right now. I'm on CozyTV/Carson, man.
Yeah, and your voice is cracking.
Check it out.
Check
I have
it
more
out.
success than you will ever have.
Maybe I'll learn.
I mean,
Maybe
what
I'll
are you
learn
doing?
something.
You're live streaming in front of your kitchen sink, man.
What's
I mean,
cozy?
and
Pick
you
up
got
a prop.
freaking mullet. I think
Pick up a
that's
prop.
just like 2 L's, man.
Pick up a
Yeah,
prop.
there's a lot of
Just pick
L's.
up a prop and we'll leave you alone.
Yo, how old are
Pick
you,
up a
Mythic
prop.
Politics?
Pick up a prop.
Bro,
Pick up a prop.
your voice
How
is
old are you?
cracking,
Pick up a prop.
dude.
Pick
Your
up a
voice
prop.
is
How old are you,
cracking.
man?
Something.
Yo,
Pick up something.
bitch, how
I'm
old are you,
99
man?
years old. I'm 69, which is what I do with your
89
mom.
years
Shut
old.
up,
That's what I
bitch.
thought.
Are we
Yo.
done?
Oh
Hey.
shit!
Yo, CTV.
Yo,
somebody-
Oh
Hold
shit,
on.
it's getting real. It's getting real.
Freaking.
Hold on, somebody just said.
You
Hold on.
Mythic
What do you guys think about Q?
Hold on, listen.
Quiet kid in the room.
What do you guys
Quiet
think about
kid.
Q?
You just
Hey,
wrote him
It's
off.
real. Every single thing.
What do you guys think
you
about
ever said is
Q?
real.
Look, I gotta
It's
be real for a
it's true
minute.
and real.
I gotta be real for a
Hold
moment,
on.
right? What's the point of being the man with the gun, right? If none of you fuckers understands to shut the fuck up because I've got a gun, right? First thing,
Point it
right?
down, CTV.
Desktop.
Point it down under you.
Second thing, hold on.
Shoot me,
Second
CT.
thing,
Shoot me right now.
See, we
Pull the
started off
trigger,
with
pussy.
we start
Point
off
the
with a
trigger.
Down
joke.
under
Hold on,
you.
hold
Do
on.
a desktop.
Listen. Oh my God, we start off with a joke and then we get into the serious stuff. Okay, now you ready?
Tell us, dude.
Now, somebody said pick up a prop. Well, there's your fucking prop.
Oh my god, you're
Point
such
it-
a fucking
point it
weirdo.
down under you.
You're such a
Wow.
fucking weirdo, dude. That's the weirdest shit I've
And
seen.
the crowd goes wild.
Oh, you should have seen him when he got real drunk on
their
moonshine and
feet.
started crying with it.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, CTV, here's the fundamental question, okay? If somebody, let's say Mythic Politics, right? This guy in the pink background under you with the blonde mullet. Let's say he raped a little girl. Should he be subject to like just hard labor?
He wants to know what's
Low
gonna
wages
happen.
At that point,
He wants to know what's gonna
What's-
happen to him.
like in
Yeah,
prison,
what's-
should he have
what's
labor
the
in
jail
prison,
term?
like hard labor?
Wait a
What's
minute,
the
is
jail
this a-
term?
Is this a CTV government?
Yeah, yeah. CTV
No, this is
government. What happens?
this is okay.
Okay,
What
look, let me.
That's
look,
not
I'm
the
gonna get-
reality. We're talking about
let me-
the question is based on the fucking system as it sits today. So we got off on hypotheticals, but we're talking about the fucking literal fucking unpaid wage labor that's going on right now. It's going on right now in America. That's the real conversation. We've gotten fucking laid low a bunch of different ways. Let's say I fucking let's say
question.
we're answering it. Let's answer have them answer the real question that we're here to fucking talk about. Enough fucking hypotheticals. The hypotheticals, you have a fucking child rapist. They get 10 years. What should their sentence look like?
Hypothetically, the child rapist is you, right? And so
Let's actually like
Not
cover
that
it.
banger.
Let's tackle
Got
it.
his ass.
Actually, you know.
Wait, don't you have like a fucking like?
He's got a lolly.
Yeah,
for
he's
his
got like a
PSP.
lolly fucking PFP.
What the
dude.
hell? Why do you guys have to make
Yo.
everything weird?
You guys were just
Answer
answering
the
the
question,
question.
CTV. Answer the
Yeah.
question.
Geo.
Answer the question, CTV. Come on, let's go through. CTV, weigh in. What do you think should happen? What should the sentence be? I don't even know what the sentence is for something like that. Does anybody know? It seems like it seems probably not enough. It's probably not enough. I would say it's like a decade, maybe 15 years. I don't know what it is. Yeah, but that's not what they usually get. That's you're saying what you think they should get. Okay. But now let's say they get 15-year sentence. It gets knocked down with a good time to 12 or something like that. What should that sentence look like in jail right now? Should private companies be able to make money off their labor?
Should the government be able to make money
But
off
that's
their
not who makes money off it more often than not. That's not who makes money off of it. It's a private company that's making money off of it. You're again talking about what you want to be instead of what is. That's not the scenario.
In this scenario, you don't have a say in what happens.
Okay, then go ahead.
So CTV, should the people should they profit off of that person's labor, off of Mythic's labor after he rapes a little girl?
Just say anyone.
Yeah, for me, it's death. That's the only way I feel like the problem should be solved. I feel like if it's not that, then
so slave labor, you'd be okay with too?
Like, frankly, if they don't exist after they commit that act to me, and I have no
any
problem
crime
putting them down,
CTV
then
in
I
general.
really don't care if the government exploits the ever-loving shit out of them either. Then do I?
CTV.
Yeah,
what about just
real.
in general?
There you go.
I've got like
There
a
you go.
zero tolerance policy when it comes to.
So if I said
taking
in our government
completely.
after if hypothetically Mythic Politics raped a little girl and we found out about it, then and I said like he's gonna be a slave in prison from now on, you would be like fine, like no mercy, right?
But
no,
is that
I'd
the
be like-
sentence?
I'd be
Would it be
like,
a life sentence?
This is what needs to happen. right? Guillotine, Element 82, right? There's a lot of ways to be able to solve this problem, right?
But that's not what that's not what would happen though. That's not what would happen though. We can all talk about what we would like. We can all talk about what we would like it to be in that scenario.
Listen, there's only so much injustice that the good people
are you literally incapable of talking about reality? There's a reality that we're talking about.
This is all just hypothetical fucking back and forth.
We're talking about a reality.
This is like
under the current system, what do you think should happen if I did that crime and got, like, let's say 12 years? What should it be? That's the real fucking question. I don't know why you're not touching it. Are you incapable of it?
I'm definitely not for people that break the law. They go to prison and it's supposed to be a spa or some type of
should they work?
System, right?
Should they generate?
Why wouldn't they?
He wants
why would they?
Because that incentivizes the prison state.
This is exactly why, one, we need to get the corporations out of the prison system.
That's what people are working for, yeah.
State-owned, because if it's state-owned, I have no fucking... Like, if we have prisoners that are not flight risk or going to be potential problems to the community, I don't have any problem with them actually getting out there and picking up fucking trash. Right? I got no fucking problem with that. Be a part of the community. At least people see you out there. They see that you're doing some work to be a part of the community instead of just sitting in some fucking cell block, continuing to plan the fucking flow of fentanyl through the fucking country. Right?
Fentanyl?
They do somebody's bringing the fentanyl.
Somebody's bringing the fentanyl.
It's shipped over from China in big freight containers. That's like China's manufacturing.
Too.
Yeah, like what do you mean?
Sackler family, like what?
But we're not talking about people picking up dirt or picking up trash on the side of the road. That's like community service, and there are some work groups. So we're talking specifically about the work programs that companies like Whole Foods, Starbucks, JCPenney's, Victoria's Secret, Raytheon. We're talking about corporations like that who are working within private prison industries now, not in the hypothetical that you're outlaying.
Sucks, dude. This sucks. I'm in a sucky position. I just want to admit it right now.
You don't have to even say anything at this point.
No, I get what you're saying.
I'm setting up to throw you a bone here. If you hear me out.
Oh, that's really nice. Okay, let's hear it out.
It sucks to be in a position where I feel like I kind of got to agree with you guys. That system sounds like shit. It sounds really shitty. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's like an issue of like you guys aren't kind of being heard. I mean, we're pitted against each other here, but we're arguing over something that on its head on the specifics. I mean, I haven't studied the 13th Amendment myself personally. I'll admit it to you.
It's like
what you're telling me. It sounds like a leftover from a tragic situation that happened in the 1800s in our country, and it wasn't settled in a nice clean way, and it left a giant loophole for exploitation of people, and it fucking sucks. And so I think if that's what you guys are saying, I disagree with you.
But I mean, big tech, like, so are you saying that like slaves during the Civil War are like the same as like prisoners, guys who were breaking the law, who were put to work for this sort of stuff? Like, I don't think that. I think the only point that I would agree with, and that most of like the people on our side would agree with, is the fact that like private prisons are a big problem, and that corporations are being used for the labor of people instead of it benefiting the community and whatnot. So I don't know if I'd say that it was like it was a flaw of something in the past, because like I wouldn't equate modern day prisoners with slaves of the past. You know.
Well, what I mean is like the flaw is that like we had
that's what they're called.
The mechanism is derivative of that. The mechanism exists.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to big tech.
Pick up a prop.
Like,
yeah, sit the fuck down, Myth.
There's a growing pains issue, right? And we had a weird situation. Like, I don't have to get into a long history lesson here. We all know what happened. We discovered a new frontier, and we like expanded into a new area that was covered with people that we never met. And then slaves were brought here and mixed into the mix, and like it was a fucking soup, a mess in the founding of this country. And then we had a civil war, where like half the country fought the other half, and one half got fucking destroyed. And then there was the issue of the freed slaves to deal with, and then it looks like we have this leftover legislation from the mid-1800s that we're still dealing with, like allowing current corporations to exploit people for their profits. Doesn't seem like we've totally like cleaned
so
up the mess.
he's really just upset that black people were brought here in the first place.
I agree with both of you on a level.
Big Tech, the 13th Amendment was passed because of the Civil War.
Yeah, well,
exactly. And the Civil War was a disaster. So, and as the result of a disaster.
Thanks for the TLDR.
Yeah, but
we have the 13th Amendment.
I agree. I agree with
what
both.
What does the 13th Amendment say?
Yeah, here's the 13th Amendment. It says neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction.
So slavery still exists.
It's saying, yeah, it's literally saying slavery is okay as long as it's a punishment for a crime. And that is like the direct, text of the 13th Amendment. And it's honestly, that's why I was saying earlier, like, this is historically what slavery was and has been, was a punishment for a crime to like repay your debt from the crime to a person or party offending.
You mean pre-1865?
Well, no, it still is in other parts of the world. Like, this is in the United States, the racial chattel slavery is a very unique concept.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how slavery was done.
Portugal, the Caribbean, and whatever. And the plantation system is sort of was renovated here. Yeah.
And prisoners have been put to work like throughout history, everywhere, all across all of civilizations. I'm not saying like it's like slavery is a great thing or I love that. Honestly, I agree that like we should probably build a society in which the worst off among us are still like not tortured, like they're not so bad. I think we should start with people outside of prisons that haven't committed crimes, like homeless veterans and stuff like that. But at the same time, I think that like this is less of a priority.
Since when does our government do one thing at a time?
But I do think that it should honestly be addressed, and like we probably shouldn't have prison slave labor. But honestly, there's a good point.
So that's Mio and Big Tech on board.
But there's a good point to be made in that maybe there should be a tiered system in which the like worst offenders, like the worst violent offenders, like serial child rapists or serial killers or something like that. They're not going to be just given 3 hot meals a day and a minimum wage job with benefits and unions and all of that, and like insurance and everything. Like it's.
No one argues against the people that have to be removed from society. No one argues against them. Yeah, like they're
not even put in. They're not even put in general population. They're put in ADSEG. They're kept away from the other prisoners even. So they're not going to be given a job where they get tools and knives and screwdrivers and stuff. They're isolated, kept to themselves 23 hours a day. So those people already aren't getting vocational stuff. They're already not getting jobs.
You're not understanding the language the way it needs to be understood, right? Under the law, anybody doing work, if they're not being paid for their work, right, would be viewed as a form of slavery or involuntary servitude.
There are people in prisons not being paid for the work that they're doing.
Right. They're not being paid for their work because they fucking broke the law. Right? I was going to reward somebody for bad fucking behavior.
Look, doesn't it incentivize you to make more laws that are insane?
You get arrested for a crime, and then you're going to be getting paid to do a fucking job. Give me a fucking break.
CTV, you're doing a
loopy loop. You're doing a loopy loop.
You guys are equating like modern day prison labor as though like everybody's not getting paid. The average salary is around like $5 to $6 for working a prison job. So
would you like to know? Wait, no, buddy.
The actual
it's like
stats.
15
no. The minimum is 13.
Anywhere
the minimum is 13
0
cents
and at most 1.25, depending on as far as like non-industry. For correctional industries, like the max you're gonna make is $4.90. That's
like
it.
For jobs like being
you
a
did
firefighter,
not do your homework,
you make around $5.40.
You did not do your homework,
buddy.
And
up to 80% of that can also be garnished. Up to 80% of that, they can tack you for room and board. So literally, they're basically double billing. They're charging the government for that thing. So they're already gouging the government for it, and then they're gouging the people doing the labor. So they're able to double bill.
We're all
under this.
against private prisons here. Everyone on this entire panel is against private prisons.
Yeah.
So
CTV, I see a good question in chat aimed at me. So I want to ask you guys. It says, Big Tech, do you really believe that prison labor was invented because of the Civil War? I think there might be a misunderstanding of what I'm saying. And I don't think anybody here is saying that prison labor was invented as a result of the Civil War. What I'm saying, and I think what I hear you guys saying, is that the issue that we're dealing with, this loophole in our legal system that the corporations are exploiting, is a remnant of a law that was made at the end of the Civil War. And that remnant, that exclusionary clause within the 13th Amendment, was an allowance you're proposing for a policing and a disproportionate rounding up of recently freed black slaves to essentially like re-enslave them. Is that your argument? That's the idea?
Yeah, that's what happened. That's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm taking your word for it. Okay, but I mean, like, I'm just making sure I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, they just got a really backwards way of trying to fix it, right? Like if you were actually trying to fix it, what you
didn't even listen to this whole thing. You came in late. You don't even know what anybody said.
You've been buffering for like 45 minutes. What do you mean?
Yeah. So what you have to do is actually address what's against the law that's driving the need for the private prisons, right? And what's been doing that has been the drug war. There's been no amendments passed for the. There's been no.
Make weed legal, am I right? CTV.
Let's go.
That's one of.
Let's go.
There's mass incarceration before the drug war.
That's right. We need to normalize the degeneracy, prostitution. We need to fucking decriminalize the drugs.
Wow.
Let's go, baby. Full degen mode to save America. We need to go degen. Let's go. CTV said it.
That's true.
CTV said it.
So I want to leave off with another question about what I just said, if I could.
Okay.
The idea is
real quick.
So if slave labor in prisons always existed before.
Wow.
If it existed before though, and so the problem only became a problem after the emancipation of the slaves. So you're saying that it's a problem because now we have all these freed slaves and it became unfair toward them. But prison labor was already existent before, right?
It was always the problem.
I actually don't know.
With the 13th
I don't know
Amendment.
I don't know how prevalent the industrialized prison labor was before that point, but it is definitely used as
we had prison slaves and we had black slaves, and then the 13th Amendment says no more black slaves, just prison slaves.
Right.
Well, but then again, they did change the legislation so as to like conveniently round up as many recently freed people as possible.
And
you could get arrested for spitting on the fucking sidewalk as a black person. In the United
really,
States.
the issue
this was a roundup. Especially because, like, right after you become emancipated from slavery, like, what are you going to be doing? You're now just dumped into society. What are you going to be doing? Like, and it's
same thing
very
with the slave.
clearly
You
just a new rounding up.
What are they going to do? Yeah, so we just did that. Just dump them into society.
I think the argument.
No, I mean, you do the reparations. Yeah, you do the reparations.
It doesn't matter though if it was around before. It's just this legislation was a way essentially to do it legally. It doesn't. It's irrelevant. Like if it was happening before, well, then it happened, and now they wanted slaves more, and they're like, hey, we need a reason or whatever, and just installed it. It doesn't really matter.
Either way, here we are a century and a half later, right? So it seems like it's just due for an update. I mean, is that essentially what you're arguing for? It's due for an update. Maybe that's a clause that we don't need anymore. Maybe we can get beyond it. I mean, we don't ride horses and buggies anymore unless you just want to do so for fun. So, like, why do we still need prison labor? Essentially, that's what you're arguing. Or why can't we at least reform it to where it makes more sense and everybody comes out of jail like a rectified person who has maybe some money in their bank that they can come out and be a contributing member of the economy.
Really, like the best
I'm not
thing
even
for
against
capitalism.
working in prison. Like I said, I think there's a socializing factor, and I think there is a framework, and there is a structure that can give a person's life. Labor, especially for men who with a lot of internalized neoliberalism, they see the effects of their good works as it allows them to integrate better in society. So if we're doing vocational training, if we're having people be busy, not only does it make their time go faster, but it enables them to socialize with other people, normalizes their work, interfacing with coworkers, and it does help them prepare for actual re-entry into society. The problem is, again, I would like to restate, is who's getting paid for that. I don't think that they should be getting paid at the minimum 27 cents an hour. I think that it should be, at least minimum wage, so they can at least send some money back home to their families who are probably suffering.
More than minimum wage in prison. That just
at least the minimum wage
to go to prison.
But they have all the same. They have all. It's not going to be. Prison is terrible. Prison, people get raped in prison. It's a terrible place.
You're trying to make it better.
Wants
You're trying
to go.
Make it like a vacation.
I want to make it reasonable. I want to make it reasonable. I didn't say $15. I didn't say $15. I'm not mad at $15, but I didn't say $15. I'm not.
Look, I think it's kind of an insult to like put the prisoner's wage on the same level as somebody working at Amazon. You know,
pick up a prop.
Somebody's just hearing a pretty practical argument.
Then raise the wages at Amazon.
From Mythical Politics. I think you're being.
I appreciate it. It makes sense. These people have families. These people have kids. These people who they could be helping from the inside working. And there's no reason why there's some arbitrary corporation or the government should get to pocket all their money for something that the taxpayers are already paying for. So it doesn't really make sense. They should be helping out their families. We should be emboldening men to take care of themselves and take care of their families for sure.
If you're going to have like an economic system,
they're able to reintegrate with society in a meaningful way.
If you're going to have an economic system like capitalism, you're going to want to be incentivizing workers being brought back into the market for the fucking market. Like, let's not pretend like there is some like holy background spirit that we need to worry about like condemning or whatever. Like, for the system that we're talking about here, the ideal for capitalism is to bring people back into the market. If you're not doing that, then you're hurting the market. You're hurting families. You're hurting...
Look, we are extremists. We're extreme far right wingers. So we have like a tenacity where we just love the concept of just like justice, retribution, pay for your crimes. We want it to be severe and harsh because we hate crime and we hate disorder and we want order and law. However, if it's impractical to do what we're doing and it's literally like we're kicking ourselves in our own ass,
it's a short-term solution.
We need to not do that.
I 100%. The issue is, here's where I disagree, is there are some places, some situations, there are some people, some crimes that you see the recidivism rates are just like they're not going lower for certain crimes, even in the countries where they're doing the most to change it, right? Some people are simply not going to reintegrate into society.
There's always going to be outliers like that, though.
9 out of 10 people like that's the case. And so it's like the whole rehabilitation argument, it works for honestly probably the vast majority of prisoners.
Then there you go.
Then there you go.
What's the problem?
But there are still, where I disagree with you is there are some cases where that is just simply not the practice.
So then don't do it. Then what's the fucking
because of psychopathy can't be rehabilitated. Are you saying we don't do this, or that do we do it for everyone and like we give those people therapy, but we're not going to like put them in Gen Pop and shit like that?
No.
Don't need that caveat. You just say like we do it where we can.
What are you talking about? This is
you just say we do it like for the general population and for those who like can't be rehabilitated, then we just keep them in there.
I think you guys are agreeing.
Like, well,
no, we are. It's just like he doesn't want to like say that we can do this.
Why are you saying I don't need a caveat?
No, I think you guys both agreed. Yeah, there are some crimes that I don't think because of like a weakened part of the brain, like CTE causes people to like impulsively like fucking attack people, or a weakened amygdala system leads to impulse control. There's some people who you could do a brain scan and look at it and say, this motherfucker's going to do this again. And as those scanning methods, as those evaluatory methods get better, we're going to be better to able to see who can actually meaningfully be reintegrated. So I think that's true. We need to be clear that not everybody is quote unquote savable, and there's a utility to restricting some people from being able to freely operate in society because they're going to predate on people. I think that's 100% real.
True. Okay, then yeah, I'm absolutely, like I said from the get-go, like in sort of a tiered system for the lesser crimes. It's definitely like I'm on board with what you're saying. We should be more focused on reintegrating people into society, at the very least, like making it so they're not guaranteed by being fucked over by the system to be like, ending up back in prison or like committing crimes or making things worse for the general population again, which is the main concern. So yeah, I agree with that insofar as it's practical.
You guys have a pretty good energy. You have better energy than a lot of leftists I've talked to. Somehow you guys have won me over to feel charitable towards
we are pretty big.
I'm a conservative. Big tech's coming over to the left, baby. Let's go. Base commie. They say horseshoe theory isn't real, but look at us now. There is now, baby.
There is an overlap, bro. Go far enough left or far enough right. I'll meet you there.
Big tech. Don't do it for these guys. Do it for like Destiny or somebody. Don't
shut up. It's past your bedtime.
I love Destiny too.
Wow. Look, this is what's amazing, right? This is why CTV from Twitch had to come here, right? Because apparently the motherfuckers on Cozy are easy, right? If you were persuaded by Mythic's fucking argument,
this guy came over here and said 4 words.
Then like I don't know what kind of.
This guy came over here and said 4 words. Like, all right. Round of applause for CTV, everybody. He did it. Hey, CTV fucking fix racism, bro. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Proud of you.
There's no way in hell you buy Mythic's arguments for this shit, man. All it'll end up
everyone agrees with you.
An ever-expanding government, right? Whether it's, I can't get the manufacturing job that used to be in the city because it got brought in by the government. Now the efficiency dropped down. It's like every single thing that if you were a conservative, you've actually studied the economics of things.
It's the gosh dang government. If we could
somebody give me the TLDR on what CTV is saying, I'm just playing dueling banjos.
I don't know. I think CTV should have been here for the first half of the conversation. I think it would have been greatly benefited.
So look, you guys are saying that private corporations are bad. Like private prisons are like taking up like 80% of the profits that are coming from prison labor, but you guys are also advocating for higher wages. Okay. Like, which means more money to the corporations. I'm confused on that.
Listen,
higher wages means more money to the people.
Listen. All I need you to do.
They're pocketing that money.
All I need you to do is turn behind you and pick up one of those fucking props, so we know that the background is real.
No. But to his point, when he's talking about higher wages is equating, that's actually less money for the private prison industry, or for the. It's not even necessarily the private prison, although they do benefit. The actual accrual of profit is probably done by the companies like Victoria's Secret, by Starbucks, who get to pay like 27 cents or whatever it is. That's not the actual. There's a delta in between what the prisoner gets paid, what the place charges, and what they charge Victoria's Secret. So the private, they're middlemaning, and we don't exactly know what that number is, right? Because that's privileged information. But it's we could definitely increase the amount the worker gets, and also maybe stigmatize it or whatever. Or if we're going to do that, firefighting and other utilities that are going to be more and more necessary with climate change or whatever, California could definitely use more firefighters.
I'll take it a step further, New Mythic.
So then you acknowledge that there's nothing ethically wrong with having labor from prisoners.
There is if there's any
unpaid
profit. Yeah, or any profit either.
There's a perverse incentive. There's a perverse incentive to incarcerate more people, because you need X amount of people to get a bigger contract.
I'm fine with prison labor and people getting paid as long as they get all of their money and there's no exploit. They don't get any siphon, right? Like if you go to prison and you're working, you better see 100% of your returns, because if there's anything left over, it incentivizes you sending more people to prison.
Yep, and empty bedding of prison is just lost revenue. That's it.
Which is exactly why you need to address the problem at what's creating the need for the prison system as it is.
That's just bad legislation. There's bad laws.
So get rid of the drug war, right? Reduce it.
Get rid of all that.
Listen to CTV base. CTV, yes. Fucking decriminalize. Yes. Legalize it.
Pair them all up. Fuck it.
Let's go.
There was no amendment passed. That's kind of the point.
For the profit of JCPenney. I never knew that.
Victoria's Secret, Raytheon,
tons.
Whole Foods.
I'm even against the state.
I just looked at the CEO of JCPenney, and it's a fellow named Mark Rosen.
Yeah, you should look at how much money they make from charging people to call their families.
Okay. Is that a good place to call it? We can't be JQing. I'm on Twitch. No. Is that a good place to call it, everybody?
It is a good place because Nick is live and I want to go watch Nick.
Okay. Thank you so much. Mio Brittany. Thank you, Big Tech. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming around.
Nice to be here. See you.
Alrighty. Cool.
Yeah, I want to go watch Nick too. I'll see you guys.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you. Pick up something on your bookshelf.
That was fun. I can actually pull that stuff of Cozy, go to Twitch or something. But
okay.
Let me see if there was any questions to you guys in the super chats. Hold on.
Sure.
Do we get a cut of those super chats?
Some of them. All right. In San Francisco, from Anon, it said, in San Francisco, when we added deferred sentences and released prisoners, our living standards fell off a cliff. Now leftist officials are getting recalled every other week.
You don't have a single leftist official.
Where are they?
You don't. Yeah, you don't. There's no single person that's a leftist official. But if you want to say liberal officials, because liberals they want to have a wage pool to grab from, or an unemployment pool, right?
Yeah, fuck those guys.
Releasing him is literally them. Yeah, fuck them.
Yeah. Also, it's the housing market. Everything that we've said during this entire thing still plays into it. There's no system set in place that actually helps them once they get out and out of the system. So
they're more likely to go back in. They're incentivized to.
Yeah. Especially in a place where housing is super expensive, like San Francisco.
In California, in San Diego, Southern California, there's a huge problem with homelessness because it's 70 degrees all the time. So motherfuckers just buy a sleeping bag and they're cool, sleeping under the stars and shit. So it's a problem. And there are people who literally go out and rob to get arrested to go through the jail. That's a real thing. So definancializing their material conditions, doing something about the homeless. Yeah.
So common.
Yeah. High recidivism is really good for the for the private prisons, for the private prison.
And all along the West Coast, the hyper-financialized housing system makes it bro, you can't buy a house unless you're a millionaire. It's that's the reality especially in Northern California.
Yeah, unless you're a leftist Twitch streamer.
True based.
All right, so Anonymous, thank you for the super chat. He said, bitch with the mullet deserves to be open hand slapped like the little girly little bitch.
Let's go.
Jokes on them. I like that shit. Jokes on them. I like that shit. Go ahead, play into my kink, motherfucker. I don't give a fuck.
Base Gosling says, warning, bootleg Kenny Powers is on a sex offenders list. Warning.
Warning. Yes.
Real, by the way, real and true.
They're just mad about my jet skiing. They're just mad about my jet skiing.
Danny says this F slur on the bottom left is your typical obnoxious, insecure, angry, vindictive, and hateful liberal manlet.
Why would you talk about Mio like that? That's fucked up.
Yeah.
First of all,
Listen,
I'm not
it's a
going to stand
PFP.
while people talk about Mio. And Mio's a stand-up guy. Mio's a fucking stand-up guy.
How dare you? Okay.
It's a lolly PFP, dude. It's not. It's fake. It's not a real picture.
So, Jared gave this in chat. He said, "What an F slur! I used to work as a correctional officer, and none of these bleeding heart programs help at all. You know what does help? Caging them like the animals they are, and taking away every freedom so they don't want to come back." Jesus.
What a
Finland would like a
fucking
word.
nerd.
Yeah, then how come they
what
keep
a
coming
fucking
back?
nerd. Every Department of Corrections, every officer worth their salt is in on the drug trade, and this motherfucker's nerding out on the sideline. It's cope and seethe for not getting in on the fucking trade.
Yeah.
Well, also, aren't you literally incentivized to like be like that way? Because the prison pays your fucking bills, dog. Yeah, of course you want more people. I get it. Yeah.
True.
ACAB.
True.
God, it's so loud. My thing just like.
Wouldn't that
shut
be
down.
COAB?
Yeah, actually, I
All
think
corrections
correction officers they don't
Yeah,
really fall into
yeah.
ACAB because
Yeah.
even in a socialist utopia, right? Like you need
Yeah. It's
Having
supposed
a
to be like
fake-
counselors.
Having a
Yeah.
fake badge doesn't make you a cop.
What are your positions, Carter?
Yeah, I guess I don't know, I'm just progressive. I'm anti-capitalist.
Like,
He's a base commie. Don't listen to him.
I'm a communist, but I'm not an
I'm a
anarchist.
commie too. Yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
motherfucker. We're all commies here.
Yeah, I'm
Steven
a
CTV.
Are you gay?
Am I gay? No, I actually live with my girlfriend who I thought she came on just a minute ago. I walked by a few minutes ago. She must not walk by me.
Someone in Carson's chat said that everyone with the RGB lights is a tanky. How do you respond to these criticisms, guys?
I don't have RGB lights. That's actually just a straight up light bulb. That's just a color.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Mio, I
That
thought you
reminds
were
me of
third.
Augie a little bit.
Mio, I thought you were third positionist. I thought you believed in like corporatism. I thought you believed in a command economy.
I'm just chilling.
I doesn't
I
believe much
think
of it.
probably.
That's my favorite ideology.
I think probably.
Just chilling.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
I think
I respect
probably
that.
like, you know, it's good at some times in history for some countries to nationalize some things, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, for sometimes.
Based.
That's called a centrist, brother.
I don't know. Not in America. Not in
that's
America.
true.
Yeah, not in
Neoliberalism's
America.
in the center. If these motherfuckers had their way, we would like the post office would belong to FedEx. You couldn't even send your dear old grandmother a birthday card without some fucking corporation charging you $20.
It's true.
Gotta have a subscription.
Yeah.
True.
Mm.
Is that it?
I'm a racist.
Let's go.
Based.
All right, based.
Based.
Y'all are just
Kinda
full
Against
of
white
shit.
people, by the way.
Oh,
I hate white
nice.
people.
Oh, damn it. God damn it. Had us in
Damn,
the
you
first
tricked
half,
us.
I'll be honest.
Boo,
Sorry.
prison slave labor for this guy.
All right,
No,
folks. I'm going to drop out. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Brittany. Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
yeah,
Mio.
yeah.
This was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good night.
All right,
Yeah, cool hanging out.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, I'm gonna get off of Cozy since we are now.
All right, chat. I'm gonna switch over to Twitch. I'll start my starting soon screen. I gotta fucking pee so bad. But you guys in chat, I'll see you here in a second. Okay.